Unlimited Blade Works 4, one day 3. Let's do it. Oh boy. We have successfully avoided Taiga dojos, I think. Oh boy, those are blades. Are these the blades from the Unlimited Works of Blades? It's a landscape I've never seen before. Oh shoot, so last time I had dreams. In the Fey route, I have dreams all about Saber. In this route, do I have dreams all about Archer because I'm Archer from the future past? I mean, it makes sense to have dreams about Saber. The volume's turned on, right? There's just no volume right now? I'm paranoid. I leave this turned off sometimes. It's turned on. Okay. Alright, so, okay. That's interesting. So, this seems likely these swords are probably meant to be Archer's swords that he uses as bow and arrows. So I think it's likely that, I guess in Timeline 1 we have a bunch of Saber dreams, Timeline 2 we have Archer dreams. What would Timeline 3 be? If it's going to be based on a different servant each time, Servant 1 Saber would just be related to banging Saber, of course. Servant 2 Archer theoretically is related to banging Rin. So let's say Timeline 3 is, I don't know, banging Sakura, just best guess. What servant would we have dreams about if we have to keep up the pattern? We don't have to keep up the pattern, but I'm already noticing the pattern, so. These dreams seem to be important between days, so. It's a landscape I've never seen before. The fiery sky above. An infinite number of swords at my feet. Could you even say an unlimited number of swords and maybe even call them blades? That's a knee slapper. I slapped my knee. Are they traces of war? The world is inorganic and there are no living things. If we are having dreams of Archer, that really does substantiate the theory that if Shiro isn't Archer, he is some spirit secretly that's related to Archer. Because otherwise, how is he having dreams of Archer? Him having dreams from Saber makes total sense. Him having dreams from Archer is weird and requires a plot twist to explain, I feel. There are no living things. The ashen wind courses through the forest of swords. The swords stand like trees in a forest. It's not just 10 or 20. Forest of Swords. Swords stand like trees in a forest. Oh, and I also talked about this, I believe, the first time through when I saw that little bit of UBW, was the idea that Archer, it would make sense if he's Shiro. It would make sense if there's unlimited blades, if he's just sword birthing his arrows. That's right. And then it melted away, right? Yeah, that's right. That's why my theory amped up again, is because the sword, when Shiro was looking at it, it like melted away after it was used as an arrow, which sort of mimics how Shiro's sword birth works. He makes a sword temporarily that's super strong and seems like a real sword, but it breaks really easily. So the way Archer uses those swords as arrows feels very much like a Shiro thing. If the connection is just a coincidence at this point, then that's a pretty big coincidence. It's not just 10 or 20. Not 100 or 200. No matter how many there are, if it is impossible for them to be counted, they might as well be infinite. The tools are rusting without anybody to use them. A ruin of infinite swords. The tools are rusting. That suggests that they exist in an alternate realm that Archer's pulling them from, rather than making them from nothing, which also goes back to Archer's initial fight with Lancer, where he kept pulling swords or mini dagger swords from nothing to fight against Lancer. Lancer's like, how do you keep making more of those? Sword birth? Because he's just Shiro? He thinks that. Who's he? Wait. He. Wait, are we in an interlude? If it's a he? He as an Archer he. A ruin of infinite swords. He thinks that it's like a graveyard. That feeling when the first crack theory may actually be true. It is really cool. Even if it's not true, it's cool if it's true, but it's really cool how I had that theory early on based on almost nothing. And now there's so many hints to it all of a sudden in the UBW timeline. My vision returns. I don't know how long it's been, but I can feel the warm sunlight.
今の夢
That dream. I didn't say it, but I was thinking, did we actually change perspectives to Rin temporarily, and that's how we're seeing Archer's dream? But no, this should confirm that it's definitely Shiro's dream. What did I really base my initial theory of Shiro being Archer on? I guess it's just because, the way they were, it's always neat for the story to reward readers who look deeper into the story if the theory is true. That's true. It's true that what you said is true. It's true that when I say true, it's true. I think it came down to the mentality. That's right, because I thought that I was relating Archer to Kiritsugu a little bit, and it seemed like the way Archer was talking to Shiro, he was trying to teach him. The way they interacted, it's like Archer didn't like Shiro, but then he grew to like him more, as if Archer hates the past stupid Shiro before Shiro got smarter in Timeline 2, maybe? That was, I think, where the initial theory came from, is that Archer was looking back at Shiro and was like, I used to be you. I remember being that stupid. You pissed me off because you remind me of how stupid I used to be. And that was why their personalities clashed so much. I think that's where the initial theory came from, yeah. But that's such a minor thing. Anyways, that dream. Oh, yeah, that's right. Also, he's the Archer class, and Shiro did good at archery. That was also the other second connection. But I opened my eyes and recall the dream I was having. That hill of swords. I'm sure I saw that dream because I saw Saber along with the fire in the cemetery. Oh, so you think that's related to Saber because Saber is the sword user. I mean, I've seen the Saber dreams. I don't think that was a Saber dream. I mean, Saber was atop a hill of, like, blades and stuff, but the way it was set up, I think it's different. That hill of swords. Well, to be fair, Saber was on a hill, but... Oh, was it maybe somebody else having a dream and Shiro was having a different dream and the game is screwing with me? Maybe Shiro thinks the dream is about Saber, but it's actually about Archer?
Oh,
Oh, you're alright? If you're alright now, that's good. And you're right here, and you've been taking care of me, of course. Even though we're supposedly enemies now, but seeing me get knocked out like that makes sense. You did that in the other timeline too, and I feel like it's similar. However, in this time, your feelings for me are probably even stronger.
Huh?
Then, Tosaka Rin says this in her normal tone while looking down at me. That's right, not only are her feelings probably stronger than for me because of the command spell, but also because she has her servant, she's less inclined to want to help me out. So the fact that she has to help me out causes an even greater internal conflict. That's right, in theory. In normal tone while looking down at me. Exclamation points! I jump up. I instantly jump back to the wall to get away from Tosaka. Freaked out by the Tosaka. Why would you be so freaked out, I wonder? Was he this freaked out in the other timeline? Is he more freaked out in this one because his feelings for Saber have lessened, so his innate feelings for Rin have risen? Or I'm wrong. That's also possible. He definitely sounds freaked out. Tosaka? What? Why are you in my room? Why are you in my room? Inflection. My head spins. I should have been that hill of swords. No, at the burning cemetery. So I'm asleep in my room. Should have been in that hill of swords. Did you slip, Shiro? Were you actually literally at that hill of swords and it wasn't just a dream? Because you are actually from the beginning.
Tosaka, どうしてお前がここにいて、俺は何してたんだ?
Tosaka, why are you here? What was I doing? My head spins even more after I say that. I guess the other theory is that if he's dreaming of Archer, it could be maybe because Rin was with him, taking care of him, and maybe she was trying to use some of her magic to heal Shiro, and so there was a magical connection, and that's why I was able to dream of Archer. That's the cop-out answer if it doesn't end up being that Shiro and Archer are magically related. Another major reason I think there's less Saber sexualness is because Shiro views Saber as a competence that the White Knight tendencies probably aren't kicking in. That's fair. My head spins even more after I say that. That's right, because Shiro prefers, at least in Timeline 1, there was a clear preference for the, I like the women that stay in the kitchen that are damsels in distress I have to protect. He doesn't like the women breaking from the gender roles. Whereas here, if he's post-character development, and also has been with Saber, he would respect her more as a fighter. It's not because of this surprising event. I'm surprised the most at seeing Tosaka right when I wake up, and it's causing my heart to beat at a normal rate. Oh boy. There's them romance buddings. Was he budding this hard in the other timeline? Don't remember. Probably not quite to this extent. Maybe, though. His saber-sexualness might have just started. Well, his saber-sexualness, I think, really hit its peak of starting when he saw Saber injured so badly in the fight with Berserker, which never happened this time because Archer was giving backup. And when he saw Saber that injured, that's when he was really like, oh shit, I think I really love this person and want to protect her with all my being. She's the perfect damsel for me. She's not really a perfect damsel, but you know. He never saw that scene, so the triggers didn't flare, so his saber-sexualness is probably never fully kicked in, so he's more willing to be, his infatuations are more willing to increase in a situation like this, where in the other time, they might be like, oh, it's Rin, that's a little freaky, but also, I mean, I'm more interested in Saber already at this point, whereas here, he's probably more open still.
驚くんならどっちかに驚きなさいよ。どっちも取れるほど器用じゃないでしょ、エミヤ君は。
You should just be surprised about one thing. You're not skilled enough to handle two. Two what? Huh? What's two? Tosaka's just acting cool. Two what? Eh? That snaps my groggy mind to focus. That's right. It's natural to be surprised at seeing Tosaka immediately after waking up. But that must mean...
そうか。状況を見ると、気を失った俺をここまで運んでくれたんだな。
I see. I guess you carried me here after I fell unconscious. I mean, really? Wouldn't you just have Archer and or Saber do it? Probably Saber. What did she mean by two? Should be surprised about one thing. You're skilled enough to handle two. You're not skilled enough. Okay, I'm just weird that Shiro's not weirded out by the saying two. Because maybe I'm missing something, but I'm like, what two? Two servants at the same time? Oh.
へえ、なんだ、見た目より頭の回転は早いんだ。混乱しているようで、ちゃんと物事は考えているのね。
Wow, you're sharper than I
面
thought.
白い面白い。
You're confused, but you're thinking as well. Yeah, this is certainly interesting. Yeah, it is interesting. He's smarter than the other timeline. But he's not... What is two? What two? What two? What do you mean? You have two hair tails? I mean, sure, he's live, but, like, it wasn't like the other timeline where he was really, like, completely fucked up. In this timeline, he just had a thing stabbed into his back. I don't think it was that bad, right? I mean, he probably has healed super quick because of Avalon still, but... I wish you wouldn't say things that I could take as either insult or praise. I mean, that's just Tosaka, though, really. Just choose to take it as an insult. That way... Sorry, just choose to take it... That would be bad. Just choose to take it as... Taking it as insult is the bad way to deal with characters like this. Choose to take it as praise, that way you'll never be insulted. Yes.
じゃあ、あれから半日ぐらいしか経ってないのか。
And it's been only half a day? Okay, so he's not reacting to two, even though Shiro's smart now. So I'm going to take the benefit of the doubt and Shiro's... Assume Shiro's not stupid, so I'm stupid in this case. Or the two is... Yeah, maybe it's like, oh, there's two things you don't get. And the second thing is... Yeah, maybe that's what you mean. Would he have known the injury wasn't that bad? I mean, he felt the injury and probably assumed it was decently bad, but it certainly wasn't like as crazy, oh, I'm definitely gonna die bad as it was in Timeline 1.
俺ん家まで運んでくれたってことは、人目につかないで逃げられたんだ。
If you're able to get me home, that means we were able to get away?
ええ、そういうこと。話が早くて助かるわ。
Yep, I'm glad you're so smart. So am I, Shiro, so am I. She must be satisfied. Saying goodbye, Tosaka starts to leave. Oh, as soon as I'm ready and healed up, you leave right away?
おい、どこ行くんだよ、父さんが。
Hey, well, where are you going, Tosaka?
あなたまだ寝ぼけてる？どこに行くも何も、ここはあなたの家じゃない。
Are you still asleep?
私がいつまでもいていい場所じゃないわ。
This is your house. It's not a place I can stay in. I mean, we could just truce, but I guess we just don't, because I dovetailed in the future. She speaks clearly. Her eyes say, we're enemies to me. Maybe your eyes say that, but your heart disagrees. Dash, dash, dash. And yet Shiro still doesn't think of her as an enemy and sees no reason to, especially if there's lingering feelings from Timeline 1. And even without it, the fact that he realizes Rin saved him, Shiro definitely would see no reason to think of her as an enemy, I don't think. So what's probably going to happen is that Shiro's going to keep being nonchalant about it. Like, even though Shiro's smarter, that doesn't necessarily mean he wants to think of Rin as an enemy. I don't see him as that kind of person. And I don't think he's as emotionally conflicted because he hasn't been prepping for this war this whole time, thinking that, oh, I have to do this war and do it right like Rin. So he's probably, even though he's not stupid, he's probably going to be kind of nonchalant around Rin. And what's going to end up happening is that's going to really, throwing for a loop, be like, take me seriously as an enemy. And then he's going to be like, why? You're not an enemy. And then she's going to lose it because she can't control her emotions and attack him just randomly where Shiro thought it would be fine. And then they're going to fight. And then what? Shiro gets super injured and Rin apologizes. There should definitely be a fight. The question is how the fight will end. The fight probably ends with them teaming up afterwards. But the question is, do they just fight until they realize they shouldn't fight anymore? Or is someone going to come and interrupt their fight? If someone comes to interrupt their fight, it might feel a little like a cop-out. I feel like Rin has to properly realize that she wants the team up without needing a third party to intervene. Of course, I'm thinking way far in the future, but... Dash. That's true. Last night, in that church, I said I would fight. So we can only fight each other.
そうだったな。すまない、父さんが。それと、今更だけど、ありがとう。
You're right, I'm sorry, and sorry for being late, but thank you. Or maybe Shiro does a Shiro and takes a bullet for Rin? Yeah, that would definitely fuck with her. I suppose. I'm expecting the fight, but, like, because for him to take a bullet for her, they have to be together against another enemy. And they were already just in the Berserker situation. There was a chance for some kind of bullet taking, and it never happened. So that means they have to be... And Rin seems to be getting more and more uppity every time they're interacting now, and not, fighting. So, another interaction in the future where there's even a chance for Shiro to take a bullet for Rin, that would mean someone would attack Rin and Shiro would intervene himself, which could certainly happen. But again, that's sort of mean, they could do that, but I think it's more narratively tense if Rin just straight up attacks Shiro. Sorry for being late, but thank you. They definitely could do that, though. They could do someone goes after Rin, like Elia maybe, and Shiro finds out about it and gets in the way, and that's when Rin's like, oh, that's right, I do actually want your penis. But I think it's more narratively tense if Rin just straight up attacks Shiro. Sorry for being late, but thank you. Dash. Then, Tosaka stops and glares at me.
待った。どうしてそこで礼なんか出るの？
Hold on, why are you thanking me?
いや、だって助けてもらっただろ。敵同士だって言うんなら、なおさらありがたいと思って。
You helped me, right? I'm even more thankful for that if you're my enemy. Oh, every time you say something like that, Rin's emotions are going to get more flustered.
ちょっと、そこに座りなさい、エミヤ君。
Sit right there, Emiya-kun. Ellipses question mark. I don't know what she wants, but I'm sure it'll be bad if I don't obey.
ほら、早く。
Come on. She taps on the tatami. Dash, dash, dash. It seems she has a serious matter to talk about. Oh, she wants to give me the talk about how we actually have to be enemies now? I sit down.
いい？まだ分かってないようだから言ってあげるけど、そんな考えじゃ死ぬわよ、あなた。
Look, I'll tell you since you don't seem to understand. You'll die if you think like that. Mm-hmm.
そんな考えってどんなだよ。
What do you mean if I think like that? She's trying to give him the cynical talk.
だから間違っても敵にありがとうなんて言うなってことよ。いちいちそんな気になってたら命がいくつあっても足りないわ。
I'm telling you not to thank your enemies. You'll die 100 times if you're worried about such a thing. And yet, you still brought me here. You could have just left me to die.
いい？相手はただの障害よ。人間の形をしていて人間の言葉を喋るからって自分と同じだなんて思わないで。
Look, others are just obstacles. Don't think they're like you just because they have human form or they speak. And this is Rin trying to tell herself that. Timeline 2 Shiro's problem might be gonna be less him avoiding the truth and him just being too friendly in a war. Possibly. I mean, he was willing to, you know, I don't know, even fight Shinji once things got tense. I think it's one thing for him to be a little naive around Rin, but I think if anything, Shiro should know to not be so naive around Shinji. If he can't even do that, then yes, he definitely needs to learn. I don't think he needs to be naive around, there's one thing to have your guard up to an extent around Rin, but I think knowing why you need to have your guard up is the important reason, and that's just reading that she has feelings for you. And it's always hard. It's always harder when it's you. You're like, no way, especially if you have self-doubting issues, and Shiro still definitely does, that this person would never like me. That's impossible. And yet, if you need to think like that to understand their complex mind state, then it's going to be hard to understand why you need to keep your guard up against them, really? And that's the real reason, I'd say, in this instance. Don't think they're like you just because they have human form or they speak. Dash, dash. Tosaka speaks with a strong voice and sharp eyes. She's certainly right. It's especially hard to read feelings when they're tsundere. Yeah. It is wrong to feel compassion for an enemy. It is also wrong to consider them to be just like you. But maybe it's wrong to even think of them as enemies in the first place. It's the Grail that's making us think that way. Just because you signed on to this Grail War, the main reason you signed on, right, is you don't want an incident like last time to repeat. You don't want any bad guys to win the Grail. Well, if you think that Rin isn't that bad, I can understand Shiro's perspective of, I don't think Rin's that bad. I don't mind if she wins. I have no reason to fight her. I can totally understand that perspective. Reminds me of the Zatch Bell perspective. Ultimately, he just wanted to aim for winning, just so to make sure if he win, he knew a good guy would win. He just wanted to make sure no bad guys won. Since I have decided to fight, they are the only things I need to defeat. Yes, I understand her point of view. So you're recognizing it's her point of view, but not necessarily yours? That's decently smart. But, there's a but.
ちょっと聞いてる？いい？聖杯戦争は聖杯を手に入れるためだけの殺し合いなんだから。そのためには他のマスターを人間として見ないこと。 たとえ肉親でも叩き潰す対象と割り切りなさい。
Are you listening to me? The Holy Grail War
こんなことマスターとしての第一条件じゃない。
is just a war to kill each other. So don't consider other masters as human beings. Be ready to kill even your own family. Geez, this is the first rule of being a master. The Holy Grail is just a war to kill each other. Don't consider other masters human beings. Do you even remember the talk we had at the church? Where you were all like, you don't have to kill the other masters. Did you forget that you said that? You're just trying to convince yourself that that's the truth, because it's easier that way. Be ready to kill even your own family. Be ready to kill even the person you secretly have feelings for. Is that right, Rin? Well, but...
それは分かった。けど、ならなんで遠坂は俺を殺さなかったんだ？
Thank you! I understand that, then why didn't you kill me? But also, maybe be a little careful. If you prod too much, she might just attack you. Although if Saber's close by, maybe that's okay. Isn't this a problem?
それはつまり
I love it that Shiro's smart now! Yay! That's because... Where did her previous attitude go? She grumbles angrily. The problem is, because Shiro doesn't realize, he is smart, but the next level of smartness is knowing that if he tries to prod too hard without just jumping straight into the issue, she's probably going to have a freak out some point soon. So the next level of smartness would just be to play along and say yes to everything unless you're sure you know what the issue is, then jump straight at it, but you have to be careful about that too. She grumbles angrily.
単に気分が乗らなかっただけよ。あなたには借りがあったし、寝込みを襲うなんてフェアじゃないもの。だから、なんか気に食わないなって。
I just didn't feel like it. I owed you. No, you didn't. And it's fair to not to get you when you're sleeping, so I just wasn't in the mood. Fair not to get you when you're sleeping? Since when does fairness come into it? You just jump into how... you have to not think of them as human. Why do you need to be fair to non-humans? He's smartish, but doesn't have the experience and wisdom to deal with these relationship issues. Yeah. Just because he notices these things doesn't mean he knows how to correctly navigate the situations. Maybe by the end of the game, Shiro will be a wizard. It'd be the full character arc from being the stupidest to being pretty dang smart. I wouldn't mind that.
遠坂、お前今勝つためならいかなる手段も使えみたいなこと言わなかったか？
Tosaka, didn't you just say something like doing everything to win? From Shiro's perspective, he might just be trying to actually find the real answer. Because maybe he thinks, oh, Rinda's knows something I don't know. What's the line I'm supposed to be drawing? Where's the honor line? Is that what she's doing? Is that why she's having to give me this talk? That's not at all why she's giving the talk, but he might genuinely be thinking that, because he might be trying to find the real boundaries for this war, you know, to be fair. If Archer's future Shiro, we know the end of his character arc. Oh, well, not if there's multiple, well, there are multiple timelines. We already know we had timeline 1, now timeline 2. But not if there are, you know, a large branch in the timeline. Especially if because Rin had awkward circumstances when summoning him, it's possible he was pulled not from regular future, but from alternate reality future. And that's Shiro in an alternate reality when he gets all dark and edgy. And there's a possibility for Shiro to get less dark and edgy. Maybe. Didn't you just say something like doing everything to win?
そうよ。だからこれは私の失点。あなたより私の方が強いから生じた油断かな。まあ、言うなれば心の贅肉ね。
Alternate reality, where Shiro had dark skin and white hair? Look, man, white hair you just get from stress, and also he got tanned. This is a mistake on my part. It was a mistake I made because I know I'm stronger. Really? Well, I guess it's flab on my mind. Oh, I heard that phrase before. Yup.
心の贅肉？つまり、遠坂が太ってるってことか？
Flab on your mind? Does that mean you're fat?
面白いこと言うのね、エミヤ君は。
That was actually not a bad thing to say in that circumstance. Shiro probably doesn't realize why that's not a bad thing to say, but it deflates the situation of what really is getting Rin so tense right now. And saying this will completely take her off of that tenseness. Whether or not Shiro realized that when he said it, I don't know, but I think that was a good time to say such a thing. You sure are funny, Emiya-kun.
でも、これからは余計な言動は控えた方がいいわよ。軽率な行動は死を招くだけだから。
But you shouldn't say unnecessary things from now on. Stupid comments will only bring you death. Dash. Shiro was just being a dick. I mean, maybe. Shiro does have that kind of relationship with Rin, her thorny side, at least from Timeline 1. She thorns him, he thorns back. He's like Sundare's to her, so wouldn't be that surprising. That was scary. Kawaii. I back up without meaning to.
とにかく私の話はそれだけよ。後のことはあなたのサーバントにでも聞きなさい。
Well, that's all I had to say. Ask your servant about the rest. About the rest. Tosaka stands up and leaves for sure this time.
それじゃあね。今度会ったら敵同士だから、その時は覚悟しなさい。
Goodbye. We'll be enemies next time we meet, so be prepared. We'll be enemies next time we meet. Are you including school? Are you not going to go to school, or is the implication I shouldn't go to school? Because, I mean, if I run into you in school, that's next time we meet. Is that when you freak out and we start fighting? That would be very public. Rin is a wall now emotionally, and Shio really can't do much. Either he makes her explode or he just waits. Not necessarily. If he can jump right at the heart of the issue, then he might be able to... Maybe. It's debatable, though. Maybe the better... If you want to be really tactical, maybe the better answer is, if he's trying to get Rin on his side, to wait for someone else to attack Rin and protect her like that. If he knows to take advantage of his Avalon and the fact that he'll live wounds like that if he really wants to. It's debatable, though, if cutting to the heart of the issue will work or not. But definitely beating around the bush will only make things worse and worse. And with that, she disappears. Well, Saber came to school with me in this timeline, actually. That's right, we dovetailed because Saber followed me to school. Unlike in Timeline 1, Saber never came to me at school. But that wasn't really a problem necessarily because Rin was always around. But in Timeline 2... with Rin not teaming up with us, it makes sense for Saber to come with me to school. If Saber's coming with me to school, it's not that bad if we run into Rin at school. Because if we're on an even playing field, in theory, and we run into each other at school, she probably wouldn't want to make a scene in the open anyways. But with that, she disappears. It really must have been a whim of hers to carry me here and to treat me. She left with no regret or sentiment, leaving only the line that we're enemies. Wow. What now? We have a saber talk? I take a breath and analyze the situation. I haven't had time to think since I saw that fight between Lancer and Archer last night. Wait a second. When do we make the choice normally to team up with Rin? Isn't it normally right after the Berserker fight, actually? Do we just never get the choice and she just leaves? Are we about to get to repeat content again? Is it that quick of a connection? I don't remember. It could be that when on the Fate route, if you choose not to be with... if you choose not to team up with Rin, that's what dovetails into... UBW, but you never get the option to team up in UBW because she's still on edge, and I believe the team up normally should happen just after the Berserker fight, so I just don't think she even gives you the opportunity. So we might be able to go back into the other content I already saw a little bit of. Although if that is the case, that's going to beg some questions, because if Taiga calls unprompted, If Taiga calls unprompted, that's going to make me wonder why Taiga calls in this timeline, because Taiga never would have called in the other timeline. And Shiro and Taiga, since the theoretical split, or the theoretical jump in, assuming everything stems from Shiro, assuming every change in some way stems from Shiro, then it's going to beg the question of why Taiga would call, because Taiga has not seen Shiro since. I'm confused. How blind is this? It's blind, but after I beat the entirety of the first timeline, I was looking for all of the bad endings, and then I was like, wait, I've got all the bad endings, but this choice feels like you have to team up with Rin for this playthrough, because there's a choice. Yeah, there's a choice where you can choose, do you want to team up with Rin or not? And I thought, okay, this has to be a but thou must, where you say no and you're forced to team up anyway. And I said no, and then suddenly it wasn't a but thou must. And yeah, and it was like, wait, what? What's going on? But I think I haven't had time to think since I saw that fight between Lancer and Archer last night.
そうか。なら、あの時にいた人影って遠坂だったわけだ。
Oh, I see. Then that figure there must have been Tosaka. Correct. I finally realize. I was stabbed by Lancer after that. I was playing with a flowchart. Oh boy, I saw that, Wise Fool. You didn't delete it in time. You were playing with a flowchart. Did you know I hate flowcharts with a passion? You want to talk about that for a second? I despise flowcharts. I've talked about this in other playthroughs of other games, but I'm actually really enjoying this experience of finding what the heck to do on my own. I love it. I'm so after especially the VLR. Oh, I hate, like, if you want to talk about archetypical flowchart that I hate. I hate the VLR flowchart. I hate it so much. Like, the whole thing is there from the start. And I love finding the branches myself. So I've been enjoying this finding the branches. And I was so excited and surprised when we suddenly ended up on the UBW from the Fate Path. It was weird. Saber killing Shiro was such a good moment. I can understand the feeling of not liking backtracking. I've definitely understood that feeling. I'm just one of the persons that I don't mind retreading. I prefer the excitement of finding new discoveries enough that I don't really care about the retread. In fact, I can sometimes even enjoy a retread to a certain extent. So that's my perspective on it. But yeah, I've had this big talk in other playthroughs, but I've been really enjoying that this has not, to my experience, had a flowchart. I'm sure there's some flowchart guides you can look up online and stuff, but I was stabbed by Lancer after that, was saved for some reason, was attacked by Lancer again.
セイバーに助けられてマスターになった。
Saber saved me and I became a master. Uh-huh. Lancer after that was attacked by Lancer again. For some reason. What I heard at the church. Interesting that Shiro is being like, the figure there I must have been Tosaka, as if he didn't already realize. The only in-game toe chart we've seen so far is the Taiga Dojo. Good enough for me. That's, I guess, the best middle ground I could hope for. But, he seemed to already know earlier on, so maybe him already knowing earlier on was memories from the other timeline, and this is more him just figuring out because he's smarter because of character development from the other timeline. What I heard at the church. The killings called the Holy Grail War. The Holy Grail which grants any wish given to the winner. I can't absorb all the facts, but I have been attacked 3 times already. So I can't be confused forever. And most of all, I said I would fight since I could not ignore this battle. Can't be confused forever. Tell that to your Tableau. Well, it wasn't forever. You did figure things out eventually. A fight for a single chair called the Holy Grail War. A single chair? More like a grail. I don't think it's not musical chairs, but sure. No matter what your expectations are, once you enter it, you can't survive unless you defeat your enemies. The problem is that defeating other masters might result in harm to innocent people depending on your methods. That's very true. That's why...
喜べエミヤシロ
Indeed, rejoice. You can protect the innocents that might be harmed.
俺の戦う理由は聖杯戦争に勝ち残るためじゃなくて
My reason for fighting is not to win the Holy Grail War.
君の望みはようやく叶う
Your wish will finally come true.
どんな手を使っても勝ち残ろうとする奴を
Is
力
to
ずくでも
stop
止めるこ
those
と
that would try to win it by any means possible. All right, he's resolute in his reason for fighting right from the start. Whereas he was so conflicted the entire time in Timeline 1 of what the heck he was doing, because there was a part of him that did want to rewind time and do everything over for sure. But there was that other part, it's like, no, that's wrong. And because of that confliction, he never really took time to think about it. He didn't want to think about it. But here he gets to the point right away. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's fucked up that a goblet is a cup and not a tiny goblin. Yeah, a goblet sounds like it would be a tiny goblin. I like that. The goblet of fire. Someone save that little goblet! Dash, dash, dash. Timeline 1 Shiro I like a lot more in hindsight because I know now that there's a point and there's a character development. It was definitely a little hard at times to get through the at first, but I like it more now, knowing that it'll be better to look back on it later on. It shouldn't be a mistake. Emi Oshiro has been training in magic to become a superhero, to protect innocent people.
よしまずはセイバーに話を聞かないと
Alright, I need to go talk to Saber. I shake off the priest's words and exit into the hallway. Timeline 1 Shiro enhances Timeline 2 Shiro's difference? Very much so. I mean, I enjoy Shiro being so much smarter now because I've seen him be stupid. I've suffered through the stupid Shiro. Makes the smart Shiro so much more worth it. I look through the house. I look everywhere someone could possibly be, including all the guest rooms, but I can't find Saber.
あれあの格好なんだいればすぐにわかるもんだけど
Huh? She's in that outfit, so you think it'd be easy to find her. Even so, I can't find Saber anywhere. Like an ugly friend on a date? It's kind of funny, but yeah. Yeah, you double date, you know, the ugly girl and the pretty girl. The pretty girl looks prettier because the ugly girl is there. If it was just the pretty girl, she wouldn't look as pretty. That's very fair. I can't find Saber anywhere. I guess servants can become spirits, but I can't turn her into one anyway. There is certainly merit to the notion of, oh, well, if it's so hard to get through the first time, it doesn't matter how worthwhile it is later on, but I would say, thankfully, I already had the Fate Zero, which made me super invested, so I was definitely never going to give up anyway. And I don't think, it was never so bad I was planning to give up on the novel, though there were definitely parts where I'm like, come on, Shiro, please, please, why? I can't turn her into one anyway. Yeah, are you going to realize why that is? Because you never really go over that too much. Because it seems to be the real reason is because Saber's like a real girl, not a spirit, and that's why she can't spiritualize. But in the first timeline, I think your understanding only went as far as, oh, I'm an amateur, so that's why I can't do that. No, first of all, the other characters in the VM were powerful enough to make up for Shiro. Yeah, they were much stronger than him. They kept kicking his ass. True.
マスターだなんて言うけど俺あいつのこと何にも知らないんだよ
Oh, he's not already having a revelation about maybe what Saber is. Even though they call me a master, I don't know anything about her. I don't understand who she is or how she exists. The only thing I understand is that I'm confident I'll be able to win this strange war if I'm with her. With her. And then we go to the dojo.
ここに
Oh,
もいない。
she's not here either. I think this is right when it happened. I didn't remember exactly when the dovetail choice was, but yeah, it would make sense if it's right after the Berserker fight. She's not here either. I've searched throughout the house. Shiro jumping from, I don't know anything about this war, to, she's a real girl. I suppose. But, like, you know, there's at least a, there's at least a little bit of a through line, though, of, oh, servants can turn to spirits. Why can't mine do that? Hey, Saber, why can't you turn into a spirit? You could at least, you know, straight up ask her. I've searched throughout the house. Is it just because I suck as a master? It's a big house, but I didn't play hide and seek here with Fujine as a kid for nothing. I know the most effective way to search this place. If I haven't found her after searching this much, then she should be either in the dojo or in the shed. Now my memory is coming back. I think that was what it was. The Rin choice is right after the Berserker, and you just never get that choice in UBW, because Rin's more emotionally conflicted because she has a bigger stake in the war, because Archer's around, and competent, she has no reason to want to team up with, or less of a reason to want to team up with Shiro to compensate for her own lackingness against Berserker. So it heightens her confliction, which is why she never even offers the choice in this one. Huh? Saber is in the silent dojo. But her appearance is different from yesterday's. Sitting in a Japanese fashion on the wooden floor, she's not wearing her armor. She's changed into refined clothes that suit her well and is sitting silently. Archer showing his power helped affirm Rin's mindset that she shouldn't team up. It was arguably worse off, though, because when she was willing to team up, she was more willing to accept to, you know, just be friends easier. She was more willing to let go. She kind of just let Archer die in Timeline 1 and didn't even get, from what we could tell, very messed up about it. She just considered herself part of the fight anyway. She just wanted to fight through Shiro and Saber. I remember thinking it was weird in that one, but she just let herself acclimate to the idea of just being on Shiro's side, that even when Archer left, she didn't think of herself as out of the fight. She has not been given any such chance to acclimate in this timeline. If Archer was to be taken out now, she'd probably freak out more. I don't think she would handle it the same way Ilya does, for example. Because Ilya in Timeline 1, when Berserker gets taken out, she's just like, oh, I can just be friends with Shiro now, great. But Rin, I think, needs time to acclimate to the situation. If Archer was just all of a sudden taken out with her, as frazzled as she was, she probably wouldn't feel comfortable being like, oh, now I can just go to Shiro, because she finished giving the talk of we're enemies. So she probably wouldn't be willing to do that without some time already. But she is changing into refined clothes that suit her well and is sitting silently. Dash. I lose my voice at the figure. Sitting Japanese style with her back straight and eyes closed, Saber looks beautiful. Her state, melting into the silence, reminds me of pure water. Dash. And that removes the final doubts within me. Even if she is a servant, I think she is holy. So I won't be led astray if I'm with her. He's very confident about being with her, but not so much about wanting her, wanting to ride her dragon penis.
Saber.
If he never rides her dragon penis, though, will they ever be able to realize their magical connection? Or will he end up riding her dragon penis anyway, and they'll just make it less sexual? I guess they could do that. It just felt like such a strong moment for their relationship building, but also it was important to let Saber actually access energy from Shiro. So they might be able to circumvent that in this timeline, because that feels like an important beat that's going to have to be resolved some way. Saber, I call out. Saber slowly opens her eyes and returns my gaze.
目が覚めたのですね、シロ。
You're awake, Shiro. Indeed. A calm voice. Her voice echoing through the dojo as if permeating it is surprisingly suited to this place. Shiro was so poetic with describing Saber. Now I'm thinking maybe they do. What if they do the dragon sex anywhere? And Rin's there to help, because Rin had to help last time. That would just make Rin super jealous, and maybe that would actually lead to going further with Rin if it still has to happen that way. If they don't circumvent it some way that has less sexual innuendos. Surprisingly suited to this place.
ああ、ついさっき目が覚めた。セイバーはここで何を？
Yeah, I just got up. What were you doing here?
体を休めていました。私にはシローの手当てはできませんから、今はせめて自身を万全にしておこうと思いまして。
Yeah, I was resting. I cannot treat you, so I thought I'd make sure I was in perfect condition. That's just an exclamation point? Saber looks at me as she speaks. Well, I feel tension, different from the kind I felt with Tosaka. Okay. I like this more then, because I was actually sort of thinking, I was thinking a little bit as we were getting into UBW that, wait, so Shiro has to choose to not team up with Rin? Even though I feel like teaming up with Rin is definitely a smart choice, why would he do that? Because he's never given the option. So that makes this feel better, for sure. Because I feel like the smarter option is still 100% teaming up with Rin. But it's on Rin's side, not my side. At least normally, if you don't dovetail from the Fate timeline. So that makes me feel better about it. Different from the kind I felt with Tosaka.
シロー、どうしました？やはり体がまだ。
Shiro, what is it? Could it be that your body is still...
いや、こっちも問題ない。勝手に戸惑ってるだけだから気にしないでくれ。
No, there's no problem. I'm just perplexed for my own reasons, so don't worry. He says it's different tension than with Tosaka. Well, with Tosaka there was the frenemy thing. Maybe with Tosaka there's more of a romantic feeling now. Whereas here with Saber, the different tension possibly comes from the fact that if he does have some Archer connection, we know that Archer has a Saber connection, so it's like a triple connection potentially. But also there's the fact that there's Avalon inside him, so that itself might cause some kind of tension. So don't worry. I take a step back and shake my head. Ellipses, question mark, point. Question point? Mark. No, Mark is correct. Looking away from Saber, who is tilting her head questioningly, I calm my pounding heart.
落ち着け。何緊張してんだ、俺は。
Calm down, what am I so tense about? What are you so tense about? Are you remembering your relationship from the other timeline? When you made out and stuff? I take a deep breath. But it doesn't seem to die down quickly. In fact, I don't think it ever will.
なんだって着替えてるんだ、セイバーは。
Jeez, why did she get changed? Seeing her in the civilian clothes maybe brings back memories of when you had the sexy time. I complain without meaning to. Saber's clothes are so real that they make me conscious of her womanhood, whether I like it or not. In the other timeline, Shiro was just like, it wasn't just conscious of her womanhood, it's like, oh my god, she really is the most beautiful thing in the fucking world. I want to hit that. In, more or less. She is terribly beautiful. Better than beautifully terrible. I thought I figured that out yesterday, but she really hits me with it now.
シロー。
And there's the fact that Shiro's just naturally a horn dog. He was a horn dog towards everyone before he narrowed in on Saber in the first timeline. So it's not that weird if he hasn't quite narrowed in on Rin, theoretically. Then he would still have some horniness for her anyways. I tense up the moment our eyes meet. But I didn't look for her just to say nothing. I'm troubled, but I can't stay quiet forever.
よし。
Alright.
いいかな、セイバー。こうやって落ち着いて話すのは初めてだけど。
May I, Saber? It'll be the first time we sit down and talk. I make up my mind and talk to her. And then...
シロー、話の前に昨夜の件について言っておきたいことがあります。
Shiro, before that, there's something I would like to address regarding last night. Oh, are you gonna jump straight to it? The way you healed last night. I think it's Avalon, because that would be rather convenient. No, I don't think she's going to go there. She didn't when we dovetailed in Timeline 1. I don't know how different it'll be, though.
いいけど、なんだよ、話って。
Alright, what is it? Supposedly most of the school is horny for Rin. I mean, sure, but, like, you know, Shiro is just horny for most of the females his age anyway. I mean, I guess it's just a normal teenage hormone thing, which I can get behind. Being a horn dog myself.
ですから昨夜の件です。
It is about last night.
シロウは私のマスターでしょう。そのあなたがあのような行動をしては困ります。戦闘は私の領分なのですから、マスターは後方支援に徹してください。
He doesn't seem horny for Ayako, sadly. Yeah, they seem to have more of like a friend relationship. I would ship it if the game wants to take that direction, but the game seems to be taking them more as like brother and sister from different parents type of thing. It's about last night. You're my master. It's troubling if you take such actions. Battle is my duty, so you must concentrate on your role. I was concentrating on my role. Did you not see the archer freaking thing that I pulled you out of the way of? I understand why you got, you know, all messed up in Timeline 1 when I did that. But Timeline 2, I freaking saved you! I mean, I know my back was pierced, but...
昨夜の話?
Last night? I think about what happened last night. Is she talking about the time I tried to pull her to safety when Archer attacked? Yeah, and that time, that choice seemed smart. I was, you know, unlike in the other timeline where I'm like, no, Shiro, don't jump in front, you idiot. This time he did the smart thing, and as a result, did not get as injured.
あれは仕方ないだろう。セイバーが体を張ってたんなら、せめてあれぐらいはしないと協力関係だなんて言えないじゃないか。
I can't help it, you were
相棒
fighting.
が危なかったんだから、手を出すのは当然だろ。
That's the least I could do. It's only natural to help when your partner's in danger. Yep. Partner instead of, the damsel who needs saving.
まさかあなたはまだサーバントの何たるかも知らないというのにそこまで心を許していたのですか
Impossible. You do not understand what servants are, yet you have so much faith in me already? Remember how fucking dumb Timeline 1 was? Temporary amnesia. Yeah. To be fair, with how injured he was, the temporary amnesia is understandable. Oh wow, Saber looks really surprised. Maybe she was thinking that Shiro was more thinking because he's so unused to it that he was underestimating. Maybe she thought that maybe she thought he was underestimating her because, you know, she is woman, so you might think that he'd underestimate her. And he did in Timeline 1. But, so I can understand why she'd think that, and that's why maybe she jumped straight to it. Because Shiro did get injured, she maybe thought she had to make it clear to him that, oh, no, I could handle myself. But that's not really the case, because in that situation... So I think if you're willing to accept that that's why that happened, you should understand that that was not an issue. In theory.
だって握手しただろ。それにセイバー、何度も俺を助けてくれたじゃないか。これで信頼できないやつこそどうかしてる。
Well, we did shake hands, and you've helped me so many times already. It'd be pretty strange not to trust you. Yeah, because she did save him from Lancer in the beginning, and then she helped out with the Berserker fight. I mean, it's really arguably only the 2 times, but I'd say that's enough. Even the one time with Lancer is enough, because, you know, he already got killed by Lancer once, so... As someone who had to work so hard, that must feel so good for Saber. It won't hit her on the romance side because he's not really referring to her as a woman at all. But it definitely has to feel very, very good for Saber to hear that because, you know, she had to try so hard when she was as the king to hide her gender, to get people to trust her by pretending to be a man. But here, Shiro clearly knows that Saber is a girl, and yet he's trusting her right away to handle the strong stuff. That's gotta feel good for her. And yeah, Kiritsugu did look down on her for being a girl 100%. And did not trust her at all, and they barely communicated. And Kiritsugu's like, these are my plans, you'll do what I say. So yeah, it must feel like a breath of fresh air, especially right compared to Kiritsugu, but also just compared to how she was in general in her time, of people not trusting her potentially because of her gender. Saber looks up at me in surprise.
もしかして契約ってそういうことじゃないのか
Did I have the wrong idea about our contract? I get nervous, so I ask. Well, one way you could have the wrong idea is that you just stay in the back and do nothing and I'll do all the fighting. But no, the master is supposed to help out the servant in tight spots for sure. But it's also very polite of Shiro to ask, like, oh, did I overstep my bounds? Are we not equals? Should I think of you as completely superior? Some servants would arguably say yes, but then again, they're the servants. Archer tried to say yes to Rin at first when they first met. Saber shakes her head.
サーバントとしてシローの言葉は喜ばしい。
As a servant, I appreciate your words. So this will make them very strong friends right away, but it won't really open up the romance opportunities because he's not taking down her gender borders at all, not even bringing it up. They're doing it in a very official capacity.
それにあの時止めてもらわなければ私も致命傷を負っていたでしょう。方法こそうまくはありませんでしたが、シローの指示は的確でした。
And I would have been dealt a fatal wound had you not stopped me. The method was not a good one, but your instruction was. Okay, you realized that it was a good idea. In the other timeline, you were just like, that was fucking stupid, which it was. Sacrifice romance for... sacrifice a romance for a bromance. Yeah. The method was not a good one. I don't know about that, because if I had called out, you might not have reacted in time, to be honest. I mean, you might have, but I'm pretty sure, based on my understanding of this game's formula, I think that would have been a Taiga Dojo.
そっかよかったつい夢中でやっちまったけどあれはあれでよかったんだな
I see, that's good. I was desperate, but that was good, huh?
はい。ですが、今後はあのような行動は控えてください。私は傷を負っても、マスターさえ健在ならすぐに回復できます。
Yes, but please refrain from
で
such
すが、あなたが
actions
傷を負っては、
next
私
time.
には治す術がない。
I can heal immediately, even if I am wounded, but I have no way to heal you if you are wounded. I can heal myself, though. Can we talk about that? Because we danced around talking about that forever in Timeline 1, like with many things. But you already mentioned how, oh, you have a way to heal yourself. Can you realize that it's Avalon? Maybe? Just maybe? Do you need romance to realize that? I hope not.
わかった気をつける確かにあれは軽率だった次はもっとうまくやる
Alright, I'll watch out. That was definitely reckless. I'll do better next time. Okay, and Shiro admitting that, he could have protected himself better, even though he does have Avalon, so he's healed quickly. That still should be a thing, right? Yeah, Saber even said she was healing quickly. But he at least realizes, because in Timeline 1, it was like, oh my god. Sure, I got in danger in the fight, but I should be the one getting in danger. I am the man in the relationship. You are the women that I'm supposed to protect. Saber thinks she was competent enough in this timeline to never look into it. I guess, but there's very much some good strategy that can be taken from knowing you can take some hits. You don't want to abuse it, but knowing you can use it, I think, is an important tool, potentially, in your toolbox. I don't know how I can do things better, but I should stop doing things so recklessly. Then, recognizing he shouldn't be reckless, though, also, the death-seeking is going away. Oh? Right, so, yeah, the death-seeking definitely seems to be going away from last timeline. He's recognizing how it was reckless, and he should tone down the recklessness. Yeah, Avalon. Avalon talk? Right. I mean, he still has Avalon, theoretically. And so, even though, it's, if he's competent enough she never realizes he has it, maybe they will never need it, but still there is potential strategic benefit to having Avalon, and knowing you have it. Like, you don't want to abuse it, but knowing you have it and can potentially use it to heal better can be used as long as you aren't, as long as you don't abuse it. It can very much be abused too, but that's risking it. It's also good that he's knowing to tone down the recklessness, which ties into not having the death-seeking as much. Then...
はい。いい返事です、マスター。
Yes, that is a good reply, Master. Daw, and she's all happy about my reply. Daw. Was I acting that funny? I think she smiled for a second. Dash, dash, dash. I shake off my blush. There's something more important right now. It's something I should have asked her the moment we got back last night. Oh? If she really is my servant, and if she really is going to be joining this battle.
話を戻すぞ、セイバ
Going back to our conversation, Saber.
ー。いや、改めて聞くけど、お前のことはセイバーって呼んでいいのか？
Oh, I'll ask formally. Can I call you Saber?
はい。サーバントとして契約を交わした以上、私はシローの剣です。その命に従い、敵を撃ち、あなたを守る。
Yes. Since I formed a contract with you as a servant, I am your sword. I shall follow your orders, defeat your enemies, and protect you. Saber says so without the slightest hesitation. There's no room for me to question her about it.
俺の剣になるか。それは聖杯戦争とやらに勝つためにか。
Become my sword, huh? Is this to win the Holy Grail War? What are you inquiring about exactly? Her wish? Or maybe her real name? I mean, I don't know if you'd know enough to know that she has a real name, I guess. Necessarily.
シローはそのために私を呼び出したのではないのですか？
Is that not why you have summoned me?
違う。俺がお前を呼び出したのはただの偶然だ。
Nope, I only summoned you by chance.
セイバーも知ってる通り、俺は半人前の魔術師だからな。
As you
セイバーに
know,
は悪いが、俺にはマスターとしての知識も
I'm
力も
only
な
an
い。
amateur magist. I'm sorry, but I don't have the knowledge nor the power of a master.
けど、戦うと決めたからには戦う。未熟なマスターだけど、セイバーはそれでいいのか？
But I've decided to fight, so I'll fight. I'm an unskilled master, but are you okay with that?
もちろん。私のマスターはあなたです、シロー。
Of course, you're my master, Shiro. Mm-hmm.
これはどうあっても変わらない。サーバントにマスターを選ぶ自由はないのですから。
This fact will not change. A servant does not have the freedom to choose its master. Oh, I want to quickly check something. If we scroll super up, can we scroll back to the Rin Convo, or is that out of my purview? No, it's going to be a different scene, so I can't, right? Right, I was just thinking about, I noticed in the first timeline, Rin did a switch from calling me Emiya to Shiro at some point, I think, when she became more casual with me. So I wanted to double check what she's calling me right now. She's probably calling me Emiya to try to stay casual. If she's calling me Shiro, that shows her slip of how close she feels to me. I'll have to, might check that next time I'm thinking about it. Servant does not have the freedom to choose its master. Dash, 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 dash. I see. Now I should try to respond to her to the best of my ability.
わかった。それじゃあ、俺はお前のマスターでいいんだな、セイバー。
Alright, so you're content that I'm your master?
ええ。ですがシロー、私のマスターに敗北は許さない。
Yes, but Shiro, I shall not allow defeat for my master. So Shiro's post-character development, but what about Saber? Because she had some real character development go through too. If this mental time travel is just on Shiro's end, in theory, then what will happen with characters like Saber? Because she should still, in theory, have that wish, even though we've now gone over that wish is kinda not the best. In fact, it's really bad and dumb. I think she was saying Emiya? I'll take your word for it, that would make sense. I could see her saying Shiro, though. If she was accidentally, that would just show just how in flux the emotions were, but...
あなたに勝算がなければ私が作る。可能であるすべての手段を用いて、あなたには聖杯を手に入れてもらいます。
If you have no chance of victory, I shall make one for you. I'll use any means possible to have you obtain the Holy Grail.
私たちサーバントは 無償であなたたちマスターに仕えるのではない。私たちも聖杯を欲するがゆえにあなたたちに仕えるのです。
We servants do not serve the masters without compensation. We serve because we also desire the Holy Grail. Holy Grail's fucked anyway, so this doesn't matter. I mean, sure, but she still, you know, needs to realize not to have it, right?
ちょっと待った。聖杯が欲しいって、セイバーもそうなのか。
Hold on, the Holy Grail? You mean you want it too?
当然でしょう。もとより霊体である聖杯に触れられるのは同じ霊格を持つサーバントだけです。
Of course. After all, the only ones who can touch the Holy Grail in spirit form are we servants, who are also spirits.
聖杯戦争に勝利したマスターはサーバントを介して聖杯を手に入れる。その後サーバントは見返りとして望みを叶える。
Maybe in this timeline, Saber just continues to jump from Grail War to Grail War. That's a scary thought, because if this is chronological, then theoretically Timeline 3 is the best ending. It'd be a bit sad if it turns out that... I mean, it's not like the Saber Shiro ending was particularly happy. Her resolution was just to die. But, it was still more healthy than what she was planning to do, for sure. But it would be a bit sad if we go through the timelines and it's like, oh, this is a happy ending here, but that means this is sad here because each timeline has their own happy and sad. That doesn't mean it'll be bad if it's done that way, but it'll definitely be bittersweet in the ending. But we'll see. The master that wins the Holy Grail War will obtain the Holy Grail through the medium of their spirit. After that, the servant will have its wish granted in compensation.
それがサーバントとマスターの関係です。シロ。
That is the relationship between masters and servants. Does make each ending unique? It does. And I guess it's more like, that's true. I have talked about how but it's different because it's like chronological. In theory, if my theory is true, it could be completely wrong, but it feels that way. Based on Shiro's mental, like, he seems to be much, he seems to be where he was at the end of Timeline 1, so it definitely feels that way. So, I've talked about how normally I actually am starting to grow in the idea of not having a golden ending, and just having different ways that can go to their own kind of unique happy endings. And I think that's true, but it feels different here if it is chronological. Because, are you planning to play another Fate VNs? I don't know yet. Not sure. Hard to say at the moment. I definitely enjoy Fate. We'll see how I feel when I, beat this one. Yeah, that's the thing, though. That's why it's gonna feel weird. Because if Shiro, like, let's say you had, in theory, let's say there's 3 timelines. It feels like there's going to be. If there's 3 timelines and Shiro is the same at the starting point no matter what, then if there's no golden ending, then I can get down with the idea that each timeline it goes down, they make their own experience and have their own little fun ending. But if it's one where he goes down them in order, and where he ends up at the end is the happiest for him, it's going to feel a little bittersweet if that's considered like, oh sure, that's the real best ending, and the other 2 were erased or something, even if they're like erased somehow. That's what makes it feel really sad, because it'd be different if, they're just different timelines where they each get their own happy ending. But if they're like erased by the chronology, then it's gonna feel sadder as a result. If the chronology is erasing, it might not be, but because Shiro feels like he's going order, it feels like the chronology would be resetting upon itself. Maybe not, though. That's the relationship between masters and servants. I'm certainly not against the idea of streaming more Fate visual novels, but, we'll wait till I get to this one, at the end of this one, and see how I feel. And then there's definitely other games I want to play, and I know Fate is a big thing, and once I finish this thing, there's certain other big games I want to play. Like, for example, I know I've been wanting to do a blind LP of Persona 5 at some point, but, so there's big games. Anyways, best ending is Ilia with Shiro's head. No, the best ending is when Ilia ends up with homunculus Shiro. We've been over this. Gosh. That's the relationship between masters and servants. Dash, 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 dash. Do the Persona 5 Let's Play? I will. I'm going to. You know, I have shit to get through. I finished recording Danganronpa 3. I just have to get it uploaded. And then I also have to... I'm like midway into recording a Persona 3 playthrough. It's gross. But, it's not gross. Persona 3 is fine. But I want to finish that before I do P5. But... Dash. I had a problem for a while of starting things and then moving on to something else without finishing the last thing. I think I've gotten better recently about sticking to one thing, which will help narrow down the amount of projects I have. Are you planning to play Royal? You mean the Persona 5 Fancy Edition, right? Because there's like Fancy Persona 5, but then I know there's a newer Persona 5 spin-off game that came out that I heard is like chronologically connected. Royal's just the Fancy Persona 5, right? Because I'm planning to play the Fancy Persona 5. That is true. Dash. I see. Now that she says it, it's obviously something like a heroic spirit would never obey a mere human being. Since they have their own objectives, they serve the master in exchange. Then that means Saber has a wish she wants granted. Speaking of 5s though, SMT 5 finally got a trailer. Do I want to blind LP that? I don't know. Too many games and I take too long to play them. But I enjoy taking a long time, but I still want to play all of them, and I enjoy it the most when I take the long time. What do I do? That is why Saber has no doubts. But
またセガ可能であるすべての手段と言ったな。それは勝つためには手段を選ばないってことか。
hold on, Saber. You said any means possible, right? Does that mean you don't care what measures you take to win the war?
例えば
For example, doing something like what that priest said. Involving innocent people and creating a disaster like what happened 10 years ago.
シロ、それは可能である手段ではありません。
Sure, that's not a possibility.
私は私が許す行為しかできない。自分を裏切ることは私には不可能です。
I can only do things I allow
剣を
myself
持
to
たぬ
do.
人間に傷を負わせることなど、
Can't betray my
騎士の
beliefs.
誓いに反します。
Is against the knight's oath to hurt those who are unarmed. Against the knight's oath to hurt those who are unarmed? Do you count as unarmed if you're a magical person that can whip out any magic at any time, even if you're not using any weapons? Like, it looked like you were going to go for Rin in Timeline 1, for example. So I don't think you're necessarily against that. Is someone who can use magic just count as being armed at all times?
ですが、マスターが命じるのであれば従うしかありません。その場合、私に踏み入る対象として、その刻印を一ついただくことになりますが。
But I must obey if you order so. In that case, you'll have to use one of your command spells to compensate for treading inside me. I am overwhelmed by her angered voice. She's angered? Oh, doesn't sound that angered. If that was meant to be angered, I feel like the actress was given bad direction. Dash. Still, I'm happy and relieved. Her lack of doubt gave her the image of a cold fighting machine. But I know now that she is not a cold-blooded killer.
そんなことは絶対にさせない。
Yeah, I won't let you do such a thing.
セイバーの言う通り、俺たちはできる範囲で何とかするしかないからな。
Like you
本当
said,
にすまなかった。
we have to do our best with what we
知らずに
can.
お前を侮辱しちまった。
I'm really sorry. I insulted you without realizing it. Aw, how polite.
いえ、私もマスターの意図がつかめずに早合点してしまいました。
No,
シロは悪くないのですから、顔を上げてくれませんか。
I leapt to a hasty conclusion without knowing your intentions. You're not at fault, so please raise your head.
思わず謝ってた。
Stop apologizing, you dork! Oh, sorry. I apologize without realizing. I say as I say sorry. I raise my head. Dash. I don't know what's so funny, but Saber has a small smile on her face. Probably because you said sorry again while saying that you're sorry for apologizing. You're sorry for being sorry? That is funny. Ellipses question mark? Well, I'm glad she's smiling, so I won't ask her about it.
それじゃあもう一つ聞いていいか。
Look at these two dorks. I mean, Cheryl's definitely a dork. I don't know about Saber, though. I mean, I'm not saying she can't be a dork. She can be whatever she puts her mind to. Alright, then can I ask you something else?
マスターっていうのはサーバントを召喚する魔術師のことだよな。
Masters are magics to summon servants, right?
それはいいんだけど、セイバーたちのことが俺にはまだよくわからない。セイバーとかランサーとかどうも本名じゃないのはわかるんだが。
That's fine, but I don't quite understand you guys. Like Saber and Lancer, I know those aren't your real names.
ええ、私たちの呼び名は役割ごとにつけられた呼称に過ぎません。そうですね。この際ですから大まかに説明してしまいましょう。
I mean, why can't you just name your kids Saber or Lancers? That's so weird. You think they're not their real names. Do you really know Saber? I mean, Shira? I mean, Archer? Those are only the names of the class given to us. Alright, I shall describe it briefly since we have the chance. Alright, I have been through Saber's explanation when I dovetailed, so I'm actually going to turn off the voices because, you know, exposition. I don't mind if it's new exposition. We've been through this exposition. We servants are heroic spirits. We have each one famed during our lives or have accomplished some great deed beyond human ability. Whatever the means, we are beings that have reached the ranks of God with our own strengths. That doesn't need to be said. Heroic spirits are heroes that had supernatural abilities when they were alive, who are worshipped after their deaths and are promoted into the ranks of spirits instead of becoming ghosts. But that is also our disadvantage. As we are heroes, our weaknesses have been recorded. Revealing our names, revealing our identities, means revealing our weaknesses. It will not be a problem if we are fighting a lower spirit, but each of us is a spirit capable of killing the other. If our weaknesses are revealed, then they will take advantage of them to defeat us. I see, heroes usually do have opponents they're weak against. That's why you're hiding your real names and using the name Saber? Yes, however, I am not called Saber only for that reason. There are 7 servants called forth by the Holy Grail, and every one of those selected according to class. Class? You mean like Saber and Archer? Yes, summoning a true heroic spirit is already almost a miracle. To summon 7 is too much, even for the Holy Grail. As a solution, the Holy Grail prepares 7 vessels in advance, and only calls forth heroic spirits compatible with these vessels. It'd be funnier to think that the Grail's just fucking around. Like, I mean, I could summon them correctly, but I'm going to summon them and shoehorn them into these classes, even if they don't necessarily fit, because it's funnier that way. Those are the 7 classes. Saber. Lancer. Archer. The archer pictured here looks like a guile, but we've only ever seen the boy archers. As far as the actual servants go. I mean, Ayako's a girl archer, I suppose. Rider. Also, that rider has a very traditional... I guess the rider from Fate Zero's mount was more traditional. Fair. Caster. Assassin. That one looks quite similar to the Fate Zero Assassin, or at least more similar than the Assassin from this game. Berserker. That one doesn't quite look like... I understand the idea behind it, but that one doesn't necessarily. It's taller and lankier than the one from Fate Zero, but definitely not as big and bulgy as the one from this game. The Holy Grail calls forth from all times heroic spirits with abilities corresponding to each of these classes, and those who receive these classes are called servants. I see you were heroic spirits skilled with swords, so you were summoned as a saber. Yes, there are heroic spirits that have multiple attributes, but I believe I am the best when it comes to swords. I mean, Archer might give you a run for your money. But that is also the weakness of the saber class. Since I am not a magus, I can only defeat your enemies as your sword. I mean, true, but you also have high magic resistance. You're good against other maguses, in theory? As long as it's not Caster, I guess, because, well, that's true. Because Caster's magic is so strong she can get around it. So you're not well suited to trickery. No, I think that's, I don't think that's a weakness. You're that powerful, so that should be enough, right? Chair's a bit on the honorable side for the trickery anyways. Sure, you cannot win this war just by being strong in battle. For instance, if your enemy is stronger than you in combat, what will you do? Ooh. Oh, well, if I knew I couldn't beat them in combat, I'd have to do something without fighting. Having said that much, I understand. Like what? Snipe the other master? If the enemies are strong, you wouldn't fight a proper battle. Beating opponents with your sword isn't the only way to fight. If you can't beat an enemy with your sword, all you have to do is beat them some other way. Like with Shiro's swords! Exactly. If your enemy discovers you are skilled in combat, your enemies will most likely not challenge you in combat, and in that sense, servants that lack abilities will use any means possible, or lack ability. The servant assassin has low attributes, but has an ability to hide its presence. And the servant caster is versed in magic that does not exist in this age. You cannot be optimistic because of a mere difference in power, and on top of that we have our noble phantasms. No matter what kind of servant we are, heroic spirits, we have our guaranteed fatal attack. Noble phantasm. It's not a term I've heard before. I think I might know what it means from the sounds of it, though. Final smash! Bankai! Noble phantasms are special weapons carried by servants. Weapons like Lancer's lance, Archer's bow, and my sword are such. Heroes are not called heroes by themselves. Heroes have the weapons they symbolize them and make them a hero. That symbolize them. The hero and his weapon are one, so those who became heroic spirits each wield a powerful weapon. That is the noble phantasm, the trump card for servants, and the thing we must take the most care of. That's still a little confusing to me, and I think a little badly, what's the word? Not explained. Explained works, though. The idea that they have their noble phantasms, which are their weapons, but then they can also have they can invoke their noble phantasms to make them the super special awesome attack. I wish the super special awesome attack had its own name, and not just, oh, we have our phantasm, but also we have our phantasm. Especially when some people have multiple phantasms. Saber says that noble phantasms are weapons that heroes wielded when they were alive. I recall that Blue Knight, the lance that absorbed magical energy from the air and pierced Saber's chest with incredible movements. That was certainly not something fit for humans. That lance itself carried a strong curse, but I also felt an overwhelming amount of magical energy in the word Lancer said back then. Then could it be? Saber, are noble phantasms magic? Lancer's lance certainly seemed like a lance with a history, but the lance itself wasn't extraordinary. Lance is gonna be pretty mad if you say that. But that lance went beyond the realm of weapons with his words. Isn't that some sort of magic? Yes, noble phantasms are certainly similar to magic. For example, a Lancer's lance, the lance itself is a noble phantasm, but demonstrates its full potential only when he puts magical energy into it and says its true name. So it's kind of actually more similar to Shikai, because Shikai is the true name, and your Bankai, you just say Bankai. A noble phantasm could be called a materialized divine mystery. Spells are necessary to activate magic. Recitation? No. Yeah? Recitation? Is that right? Of the true name is necessary to awaken and to activate the noble phantasm. But there's also a danger in that by saying the true name of the noble phantasm, the identity of the servant is revealed. Oh yeah, heroes and their weapons are one. If you know the weapon's name, you naturally know the identity of the owner. Well, except when Gilgamesh shows up with Gabe Hulk, and you're like, wait, what? You're not QQ Lane. Saber nods silently. That is why the noble phantasm is a trump card. In exchange for revealing the name, it launches an unavoidable fatal blow. When it does not prove fatal, the servant will expose all its weaknesses. Then, Saber, is your noble phantasm that invisible sword? Yes, but I have not revealed its identity yet. No servant should know my true name at this point. Does she freak out that he knows it's a sword? He can see the magic. He knows it's a sword. To be fair, because she's a Saber class, you would think it's a sword, but also until he didn't necessarily know that she was a Saber. Well, he knew, but he didn't know back when he first realized. Saying that, Saber looks down awkwardly for a second. Oh, is she feeling like self-doubt? Like, how did you know I had a sword? Oh, I mean, you are the Saber class. Sure, I have a request about that matter. Oh, no, that's right. She wants to hide her true name. Ooh. Huh? What kind of request? about my real name. Usually servants give their true names to their master only to determine future plans. But you suck balls, so I don't want to give you mine. Oh, but I'm better than in Timeline 1. I'm better. I can handle it, Mommy. Oh. But you are inexperienced as a magus. A superior magus would be able to read your mind, so... Oh, so you can't tell me your real name. Yeah, you're right. Like hypnotism, suggestion, or... Well, I don't think there'd be any, but if any other master had mystic eyes... Oh, you have some fucking mystic eyes, by the way, Shiro. I might just start babbling about it. I wonder how it gets revealed in this timeline, then. What good for would it be for Shiro to know a real name? Strategy. I mean, King Arthur is well known. If you know Excalibur and how strong that is, you can know that she's got a... Maybe it's not so important to know the real name, but it would be important to know that she has a really cool, awesome slashing attack that goes vroom. I don't think that's a terrible thing to know about. But in addition, I do wonder when and how Shiro will learn in this pathway, because it was sort of a big climax point in Timeline 1 when she first used it to beat Ryder, the first servant that went down in Timeline 1. And he learned it that way, and he learned that she was even King Arthur at that point. It was a big revelation moment, and there's not really a need to do one again. Like, I even went over this in my first timeline, that the moment felt a little weak to me, which isn't really fair to the game, but it felt weak to me because I already knew she was King Arthur, you know, from Fate Zero. I already knew it was going to be Excalibur. And so I remember thinking, is that a little weak? Is that weaker than it should have been? And then Wise had to convince me that, no, it kind of works. It's just because I already knew in advance. So it won't be as fulfilling if they try to do something like that again in Timeline 2. So maybe what they're going to do instead is Shiro will just figure it out anyway, and that'll hint at his knowledge from the other timeline? Possibly. Or they could just reveal it nonchalantly. That could work too. As long as they don't try to make a big deal of it, because it's not really a big deal anymore. I might just start babbling about it. Alright, let's do that. Arlan, you decide when to use your noble phantasm. Can you really decide that so quickly? I mean, why bother debating about it, right? It wasn't easy. I thought it through. Ooh, he thought it through. Maybe this is implying how he's able to stop time temporarily in tense situations to think. Because that seems to be a thing in tense situations. I mean, the music didn't stop, which is the normal cue, but, I agreed after thinking about it, so don't worry. I'm a fast thinker now. Or he was always fast, but just tried to ignore his thoughts before. Dash, 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 dash. Well, I get most of this stuff, but I still don't have a grasp of the situation. This is strange now that I think about it. Oh, is it? Even though I've decided to fight, the only enemy I know is Tosaka, and I don't intend to fight her. Well, there's Ilya and Berserker. Well, I shouldn't be thinking like that, because Tosaka's ready to fight me any day. Yes! Good, good, good. Are you going to be Smarticle then? Hey, Saber, do servants and masters have some sort of a mark? I don't really know what I should be doing. They have the command spell. I think the big reveals in this or later timelines... Hidden Masters? Well, there's like two. Oh, the ID of remaining servants. And other non-master players. I mean, sure. That's the obvious assumptions to make. It's just that, you know, if they're hiding... like, she could, in this timeline, if she thinks Shiro's more competent, she could just be, oh, sure, I'll tell you right away what the thing is. Because that's the thing, is, if this has to be a timeline we do seconds, then all of the twists that theoretically... It circumvents the problem that a visual normal would normally have, where they have to be careful about their twists. We don't know who Assassin's Master is. We don't know who Caster's Master is. We know Lancer's original Master was supposed to be a girl, but we have not met them at all. All we know is that Kirei is their Master now. We know that Shiro is Saber's Master. We know Rin is Archer's Master. Ilya is Berserker's Master. Shinji is Rider's Master. And Kirei is Lancer's Master. So we know those 5. But I also have a bit of a crack theory that Ryder and Caster are just one and the same, but, you know, at first it wasn't even a crack theory, but when the whole timeline wrapped up and they never touched on it, it's just because Caster and Ryder, I don't know, there's a bit of a through line there, but it's probably just crack at this point. Anyways, what was I saying? I was saying something, and now I've forgotten what I was saying. Right, yeah, the advantage this has, because it seems to be going in order, that we have to do Fate before UBW, and then probably before whatever the last third one is, assuming it's the rule of 3. This can get around with the issue that's, you can get around it normally, but it's hard, where you can go in any order, and there are plot twists that end up happening in multiple pathways, and it's like, well, oh shoot, is there a better and worse plot twist? Because you want to make sure to experience it in the best way first. Because if you experience it worse and there's a better way, it's going to feel really shitty. You can do it where they both feel equal, but it's better to make it the plot twist only happens in one timeline if you can do them in any order. But this gets around that because there's a definite order, so they can do nonchalant reveals of stuff that was maybe more epic in prior timelines and such. But, you know, so I think of something like Saber and her Excalibur and how they're going to reveal it and stuff, and I'm like, is there really a reason to hide it right away? They could just reveal it right away. So I'm wondering what the narrative purpose will be when they figure it out. That's why I think maybe it's going to be Shiro just figuring it out himself, and that hinting at the timeline overlap even further, but only hinting to Shiro this time, not necessarily the player, who has enough hints at this point. I don't really know what I should be doing. No, unfortunately there's no clear way to distinguish them. But if other servants are near, servants are able to sense them. And if the... Wait, you said there's no mark? There should be a mark. There's the command spell. That's kind of a mark. Unfortunately, there is no clear way to distinguish them. But if other servants are near, servants are able to sense them. And the more if they are materialized, servants themselves are powerful magic. Yep. I'm sure you felt Berserker's presence. That is true, but it's bad to be able to tell only when you're attacked. I need to at least know before they approach, so I can take some sort of countermeasure. Then how about searching for the Master's presence? Masters are magi. Oh, so there is a way. Since they use magic for a living, they will leak magical energy. Put some makeup over the marks. Yeah, well that means you're going to lose to someone who's an ultimate cosplayer that can see through the makeup. Since they use magic for a living, they will leak magical energy. If you search for that, you may be able to determine the masters in this town. Sorry, unfortunately, I can't do that sort of thing. Are you sure? After all, I didn't even realize the real identity of Tosaka, who goes to the same school as I do. We're in the same building for 2 years, and on top of that, I've seen her several times. Geez, no wonder people call me an amateur. The only evidence I've even a master is a command spell. It seems there'll be lots of difficulties ahead. Oh boy, shenanigans! I sigh. And then, oh, has it been added yet? Our weapon and stuff? No, it hasn't been added. She should be adding this soon. Sure, could you close your eyes for... Oh, is it right now? Close your eyes for a moment. Because in Timeline 1, Rinlight gave us a book, which didn't really make that much sense. It makes more sense here, where she puts it in our mind, to be honest. Saber speaks with a serious face. Close my eyes, why? To prove that you are a master, just close your eyes and breathe normally. Oopsies. I close my eyes. I feel something slightly touching my forehead. She's kissing my forehead! It's prickling. Could this be the end of her sword? Saber, hold on. Are you using something weird? Master, please stay silent and concentrate on my fingertip. Oh, not a sword, it's a finger. If you are a magus, you should be able to feel my magical energy. I see, so it's Saber's finger that's touching me. Touching. Giggity. I pull myself together and calm down. Ah, yes, this is when we get the stuff. Then, what is this? Saber, what was that? It's not something you should be asking me. You and I are connected by our contract, so it's only natural to be able to understand my status. Understand? You mean what happened just now? I do not know how you saw it. It is your standard that measures the servant's ability. Some masters classify according to color, and some classify according to animals. Right, so everyone has a different kind of little index they have, I suppose? Alright. In other words, you perceive it in a way most comprehensible for you. It's a standard concept for masters, so please check frequently. Like me, once you see someone, you shall understand their details. Right. I still think this isn't the best portrayed, to be honest, because it feels like they have details in here that Shiro doesn't seem to know all the time. I mean, I get it. Maybe the idea is it's in his subconscious, but not all, but some of it is deep down. So anyways, the weapon and status are here now. So for weapons, for weapons they only, oh, okay, for weapons they rewrote everything? Hold on, status. No, we still have everyone for status, right? Yeah, no. Oh. Interesting. So, okay, this is interesting. Because when we were on the Fate timeline, and we just dovetailed into UBW, I believe we retained all our shit. So we don't retain our shit on the UBW executable. Fair. Okay. But we have a new weapon. Who this? Unidentified axe sword is just berserkers. We've read that already. Archer. Khalid Bolg 2. This is said to be the demonic sword possessed by the hero of Ireland, Fergus. But, Fergus. As the 2 in the name suggests, it is a different weapon from Fergus's sword, and Archer has applied improvements particular to himself. It is a noble phantasm considered the natural enemy of QQ Lane. Oh, the answer, that's funny. Funny that Archer and Lancer started by fighting. Well, red versus blue. The great hero of cleric myth. That makes sense because QQ Lane's from Ireland, so Fergus was QQ Lane's enemy, maybe? The great hero of cleric, Celtic myth. If the wielder of Khalid Bolg, I think I know that name too, barely. Also from Fire Emblem. Yeah! If the wielder of Khalid Bolg is Ulsterborn, QQ Lane has a duty to be defeated once by this sword due to his Geis. Okay. So what information do we have if it all reset because we're in a different executable? So we don't have Assassin. We learned Assassin's real name, right? Because he was Kojiro, which is funny. He just went out and straight away said his real name. Berserker, we know he's Hercules. So Assassin is Kojiro. Berserker is Hercules. We don't know Caster. We don't know Rider. We don't know Archer. It's just going to be Shiro Emiya. Lancer is QQ Lane, and Saber is Artoria or King Arthur. So that leaves total of Archer, Rider, Caster, unknown. So what do we have? Saber, Master Emiya Shiro. We don't have the true name. Lawful Good. I wonder if all the stats are the same or if they're changed somehow. I mean, the only stats that should be changed in theory are Shiro's. Or maybe Archer's if there's a connection and they are the same person somehow. Okay, so she should have... we don't have her details and shit. Right. Instinct A. The ability to feel the best course. Heightened sixth sense. Precognition. That's how she's able to avoid stuff like Lancer's Gabolg, I believe. Magical Energy Burst A. This transfers magical energy into one's weapon and body, and by releasing the magical energy, it increases one's ability. Energy Jet Propulsion. So she uses this to sort of use her wind sword? Is that the idea? Magical Energy First Sword. Yeah, I should have just kept reading. Guarding and movement. She can fight Berserker even though she is a girl of small size. Her weapon without strong divine protection will not be able to endure her magical energy-fueled attacks destroyed with one blow. Charisma B. To command an army. Does that matter for the purposes of the Grail War? It increases the ability of one's army during mass combat. Charisma is a rare talent, and a B rank is enough to lead a country. I mean, is this just for the D&D version? I don't... Like, these other two have real practical uses in the Grail War, but this one feels more just like flavor. Cancels any magic rank A or below. Ability to ride things. Should not ride those of Demonic Beast and Holy Beast. And then Noble Phantasm, we have Boundary Field of the Wind King. An invisible sword, it does not allow the enemy to determine its range. It is simple but tremendously effective hand-to-hand combat. The blade-clad in wind that changes the reflection of light and makes the shape of the sword invisible. Charisma is good in general. I mean, sure, but what does it really do in the Grail War, especially when the Master is doing things? It's talkie-talkie ability? I mean, if it's just judging how charismatic they are in general, it seems weird that it's a skill. It feels like everyone should have a skill in that case. Rank C. It's not a vacuum, but the wind whirling, only seen when the target... Right, okay, we've read this before. It's constant. Alright. Okay. So Lancer, yeah, we have his whole shit. We don't know that his master is Kirei. QQ lane, male, lawful neutral. Right, these alignments are a load of shit. Went over this. The way these people act sometimes, it's like, these aren't your alignments. I mean, a Lancer, I could probably agree that he's lawful neutral. That doesn't seem too incorrect. But some of these just feel wrong. Like Ryder, who we don't have yet, so never mind. Okay. Nullifies all magic that requires less than 2 verses. Cannot block large scale. Right, because he's got C magic resistance. This is another thing that makes Lancer seem so... Like, I talk about how Lancer is worse. Lancer already seems, worse in close-up combat than Saber. He has a good Noble Phantasm, but Saber's is, like, just as good, if not better. And then Lancer's only real class ability is magic resistance, where Saber gets better magic resistance and riding. It's like, come on, Lancer. How can Lancer even keep up? His Noble Phantasm, yeah, Piercing Lance of Death, Gabolg. Cursed Lance will always pierce the opponent's heart. Its true name, reversed cause effect, yeah. Rank B. It's only B, whereas, and that's like his best thing. And yet, Saber's thing is like A++. I do like some of the character to like range 2 to 4. You can feel the D&D roots, but it's fun character. But you know, sometimes it's hard to differentiate the flavor from the useful tidbits. What are her skills again? Battle continuation A does not give up easily. Allows for battle even on the verge of death. Okay, that's not a bad one. But Saber is able to just see things that might put her to the verge of death. So it arguably counters out this one. B for boring but effective. How effective is it? It's never actually been properly used in Timeline 1 or Timeline 2 yet. Keeps getting dodged. It allows for battle even on the verge of death and allows the user to stay alive until they receive a clearly fatal blow. That's not bad, but it definitely feels like Saber's precognition or instinct A can't, like, it's just as good. Or serves the same purpose, basically. Restart C. The ability to escape battle. It can also return unfavorable battle to the beginning. Turn 1. What? Restore the conditions of techniques to their initial states. Excuse me? How does that work? Just has he used that? That sounds like BS. I mean, if it's just running away, sure. But if it's the ability to start the battle over, how does that work? The battle continuation may be the reason he survived so long against Gil while holding him off. That's very fair. Because I was like, wow, did he really last that long against Gil? I'm surprised Gil didn't just wipe the floor with him. But battle continuation is very fair for why we ended up having so much time after we got away. That's a very fair point. Restart ability to escape battles, but he probably didn't want to bother escaping that one. He was too honorable. Even though he's good at escaping battles, he was forced to not fight for so long that when he finally got a chance to fight, he was not going to run away. And then his third one is Divinity B. The more godlike blood possessed, the higher this stat becomes. Different games disengage. Yeah, that does seem more accurate. He constantly restarting the Gil battle. I mean, if he can actually use this to restart the battle, then yeah, that would be another reason why the fight. Because it's only C, you have 1 use of restart per fight. All right. There's also details, but we've read all this, and God, he's got 9 pages. We read this before. He ate dogs or something. He was kind of a cool bro, but he ate dogs, so that's kind of weird. Archer. We don't have his details. Oh yeah, he's got skills. We don't have his Noble Phantasm. Oh, we only have his 1 skill, Clairvoyancy Vision. Allows clear vision of distant targets and improves body movement and vision. At higher ranks, it allows the servant to see through objects and even through time. At higher ranks, it allows the servant to see through time. That sounds like a Shiro thing, because it seems like he's seeing through time, right? Isn't that what he's doing? Oh, maybe I'm crazy. He swore to not eat dogs, but he ate I remember he ate a dog anyway. Maybe he swore to, like, love dogs or something, but he definitely ate a dog at some point. I remember that. There was some point in there where he ate a dog. Maybe he ate a dog and then swore to never, like, protect dogs because he had to eat a dog and he didn't want to harm dogs anymore? I don't know. Master Tosaka Rin, sex, male. With this man? Yes, please. Neutral. True neutral. Nullifies single action. Okay, you got D magic, he's got C magic. Okay. Nullifies single action magic resistance equivalent to warding amulet. He killed a dog but not ate one? Oh, I thought he ate one. Hot dog jokes. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I just remembered there was dogs, and I thought there was eating dogs. Ability that allows independent movement even after the master's magical energy supply is cut off. With rank B, it is possible for a servant to stay in this world for 2 days after losing its master. To not refuse a meal and not to eat a dog. Oh, okay. Allowed independent movement even after the master's his enemy offered him some dog. To not refuse a meal, to not eat a dog. Oh, I see. That's fucked up. Anyways, Archer, interesting. I feel like this is this an Archer thing? Because, maybe that is an Archer thing. Because other Archer, Gilgamesh Archer, also had independent action, but he had it as, like, A or whatever. This, though, he only has for 2 days. If this is going to be fair, so much of this is flavor that it just might not matter. But if it's going to matter, if independent action is going to matter, then that might infer that, like, Rin would get killed off and he'd keep living. Or maybe this goes into his backstory. Maybe he was another servant, his master got killed and he kept living, or... Servant to stay in this world for 2 days after losing its master. I guess that's just an Archer thing, because Gilly also had it. And that should be... Oh, we also are going to have Berserker, right? Because we don't have Rider, or Caster, or Assassin, but we'll have Berserker. Elias Veal von Einsburn. Hercules, but we don't know that. Male. Chaotic Insane. Madness B. All parameters are increased, but sanity is lost. Battle Continuation. He also has Battle Continuation. The ability to stay alive. His is a little better, though. It allows for battle even on the verge of death, and allows the user to stay alive until they receive a clearly fatal blow. I mean, his battle continuation's a little different, definitely. Oh, we didn't get his name in this timeline? Oh, that's right, because when Ilya approached us in Timeline 1, that's right, she was just like, my servant is the best servant, Heracles, and he's gonna kick your ass. And she didn't do that this time, so we don't know about him being Hercules. Why, though? That definitely suggests that runs back to Shiro in a change somehow. But I wonder what the point is, because, like, it'd be one thing if we didn't know, and then they changed it so we do know, because we already know. But saying that we know, and then changing it so we don't know, interesting. That definitely has to suggest a shift in Ilya's personality, because maybe she already saw a shift in Shiro's somehow? Maybe she's been stalking Shiro? Well, she was waiting to kill Shiro when he left, even if he didn't come with Saber and all that. So she probably has been stalking Shiro to an extent, and maybe because Shiro's been acting a bit differently, she noticed? And then that hit something subconscious, or because of the way Shiro and Rin were talking to each other when she came upon them, it slightly changed it so that Ilya felt less confident because Shiro was less of a derp? Maybe? So that Ilya didn't give us the name right away? Maybe. It is interesting. We don't have Hercules right away. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that's weird. Battle Continuation A, the ability to stay alive. Mind's Eye Fake B, advantage of avoidance of danger by Sixth Sense Instinct. 3 is Bravery A+, ability to ignore any mental interference, such as coercion, confusion, or illusions. It also has the effect of increasing damage when fighting unarmed. Ignore any mental oh, so would you be good against Caster? Mental inference, such as coercion, confusion, or illusions. You'd think Berserker would be bad against Caster, but maybe he's insane enough. Well, if this is saying it's the bravery, not the insanity. I was going to say, maybe he's insane enough that his mind can't be taken over, because he already has no mind to take over? It also has the effect of increasing damage when fighting unarmed, but since he has gone mad through his class ability, he cannot use this skill. Oh, you say that? Oh, what's the point of even saying it then? I mean, is it because he's insane? Is he good, or then does that mean he's still good or still bad against Caster? I don't know. Divinity A. Godlike nature. As the son of Zeus. Oh, they just say it in his skills. Apparently we don't know that he's... That's a fuck up. We don't know he's Hercules. But as we know he's the son of Zeus. Oops, it seems like a little bit of a fuck up. As the son of Zeus, the leader of the gods, and having been accepted as one of the gods after his death, the divinity of Hercules can be said to be of the highest class. Oops! They did a fuck up. Immortality gained from the blessing curse of the gods. The body becomes strong armor, nullifies any attack rank B or below. Alright, cool. Anyways, where were we? Oh, there's a fly going around now. Get away, fly. Like me, once you see someone, you shall understand their details. I see. I was a bit surprised since it was so sudden, but I might be able to act like a master now. Yeah! Master, I have simplified things, but that is all the explanation I can give you. Okay, it was quick, but I get it now. Sorry, Saber. You should not be sorry. If you understand the situation, you should be deciding what to do from now on. I mean, you did have to waste some time explaining to me. But yes, Mom. She asked me, leaning forward. I guess she's still a little on edge after the Fate Zero thing. She's still like, what are we doing? We had Rin help us out. What are we doing now? I see. Saber is the same type as Tosaka. Attack first. I guess so. There are definitely differences between them, but there's certainly an attack first mentality. Saber also, that's fair, has higher expectations because she thinks he's confident. That's true. Well, we won't be doing anything different. I don't have the will to go out and beat other masters like Tosaka. Oh? Okay, that's going to freak her out. Shiro, that does not make sense. Do you not have the will to obtain the Holy Grail as a master? Saber narrows her eyes. They are the calm eyes of a swordsman who allows no disagreement. Dash, dash, dash. I stare back, trying not to lose, and clearly tell her my intentions. I do. But that's only because I don't want anyone evil obtaining it. I have no reason to want the Holy Grail for myself. Dash, 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 dash! Exclamation point. But that doesn't mean I will not fight. I'm a magus, even if I'm an amateur. I understand I can't back out of this now. I know I can't survive this without doing anything. Then you are saying you are fighting not to obtain the Holy Grail, but rather to prevent the conflict resulting from the Holy Grail? That is a little backwards, but I mean, if it's gonna happen anyway. Yeah, I guess you could put it like that. Yeah, I think that's what I mean. I can't put it into clear words, but such a fight is worth something, right? That's right. I don't feel anything towards the Holy Grail. But for a reason like that, I think I can fight with all my power and with pride. I think that's certainly a good enough reason. I support it. I do not understand. You say that you are a magus, then you should desire the almighty Holy Grail. Do magi not master magic because they have a wish they cannot make come true? I mean, he's not a normal magus, and that's not why he was mastering magic anyway. Oh, this is making her feel self-doubt because he's now just straight up said what his he said why he's fighting without even having a wish, really. Whereas Saber has a wish, and it's kind of grody. In Timeline 1, where Shiro sort of skirted around the issue, it was less. She had to put less expectations on herself, I suppose, because he was skirting around the issue. Here, he's been very firm about what his goal is. So. What are you saying? I have no unfulfillable wishes. I do have lots of things I have to do, though. That's right. So for now, I should try my hardest to not involve any unnecessary people. Then are you saying you do not want the Holy Grail? That you will not fight to obtain it? I didn't say that. Since I'm fighting, I do intend to obtain the Holy Grail. That is a contradiction. Why do you desire something that you have no need for, going so far as fighting? Because he already said he doesn't want anyone bad to obtain it. Like, he doesn't need a wish. He just needs someone with a bad wish to not get it. Ellipses question mark? Yeah, Saber is having self-doubt now because of Timeline 2, Shiro being more resolute. Well, because winning means obtaining the Holy Grail, and most of all, you need it, right? So we have to obtain it. Doll, that's nice. Dash, 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 dash. Yeah, I don't know what kind of people the other masters are. Some of them may be really good people. But I've decided to be your ally, so if you say you want the Holy Grail, it's only natural to help you with all my power, right? Dash 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 dash. Well, it's only an opinion that I received from my father, but he said I should be selfish to become a superhero. And hey, that's fair, because it is selfish to want the Grail without a wish when other people who, I mean, to be fair, the Grail's just fucked up, but, we don't necessarily know that. It is selfish to want the Grail without necessarily a real wish when some good person with a real wish might actually want it. But, you have to be selfish, like he said, and I think that is a very fair point. It's pointless to support everybody, so he told me to only ally with people I like and trust. I like that. It's a bit of a cynical look on a superhero, but I like it. Focusing on the superhero part of Kuretsugu's words, and not the girl part. Well, that's a step up. I never thought that way before, but I think that's how I should be now. Ah, he's admitting he didn't think that way before. Yeah, because he just had his snapback from Timeline 1. I can't do something like fight for myself. But if I can fight for you, then that's good. And to be honest, and she was fighting for other people for so long that she's going to feel a little weird that he's fighting for her to only do something kind of grody, I suppose. If this girl seriously yearns for it, it's only natural to want to obtain it for her. Will that just naturally make her get over her wish because of the more resolute Shiro? I don't know. She was very strongly wanting that wish, but at the same time, towards the end, she was almost wanting it out of spite because she thought it would be too wrong to want the relationship with Shiro, which made her emotions more fucked up, kind of like how Rin is more fucked up right now as well because of the emotions. Timeline 2 Shiro realizing what Timeline 1 Shiro couldn't for a while. Yeah, for a long time, till the very fucking end. It's only natural to want to obtain it for her. Well, I am a guy, Okay, there's a little bit of sexism. I want to obtain it for the girl I like. Then are you saying you will not fight if I give up the Holy Grail? That's a problem. If Saber says that, all my premises will crumble. Crumble. I mean, you don't want a bad person to obtain it. It's still selfish, though. I think you can still be selfish. If Saber doesn't want it, I don't think there's anything wrong with obtaining it so a bad person can't use it, even if it's a bad master and a bad servant. I don't think that's necessarily a problem. No, it would still be the same. I said I'll fight. In fairness, it's selfish to want, period, full stop. Sure, but if you never want anything, that's just unhealthy. You need to be allowed to want some things for yourself. That's way too selfless. You need a combination, a healthy combination. So I won't run. That is for sure, Saber. I declare while looking at her in the eyes. Saber does not answer immediately, but looks up at me after letting out a deep breath. I understand. If you say so as a master, I will only obey. My goal is the Holy Grail, and even if your goal is to stop the conflict, our destinations are the same. But Shiro. Saber stops. Uh-oh! With eyes that seem to be gazing upon something far away. Oh no, what are you gazing at, Saber, Shiro, me, what? I cannot clearly put this into words, but you will regret it later on. You will surely regret it. You think that, but no. Because I know things. I know the future, or rather I experienced the version where I regretted it. And you were right saying that I'd regret it in that timeline, because we had a similar conversation, but in this one I am more resolute. In that one I was more wishy-washy. You're the one who will regret it, Saber. I know why you think that, but you're wrong. And you see, because I know that she's also wrong here, I want her to realize she's right if these are chronological. I'd feel better about it if they were just different timelines, or if we just weren't spending as much time with her. But we're still clearly spending a bunch of time with her, and she just has a bromance instead of a romance. So I want her to redevelop and to not take as much time if we're going to be spending that much time with her. I mean, maybe we just won't spend much time with her in the second pathway. Maybe she gets killed off early, and Shiro has to just win through Rin and Archer, like how Rin won, kind of, through Shiro and Saber last time. Maybe, but I find that doubtful with how strongly they're building up the bromance between the two of them. It wouldn't be as important to build it up if she's just going to get axed early. You will surely regret it. She says those words. No, please. Right, telephone murder. Okay, this is the telephone call that really freaked me out the first time around. If memory serves, I don't fucking remember. It's been a while. After having the talk with Rin and agreeing, that's right. She leaves temporarily and Shiro wants to learn to fight. So she talks to Saber about Saber teaching him to fight. Is that right? Maybe, because Rin ends up coming back as no, that's right. Rin ends up coming back in on them. That's what happens. And then Rin just hangs out and it's like, you need to learn some magic, right? And then teaches her. Okay, that's where that goes. But here we get a telephone call, right? Because I don't think they went to the school on this day. We skip breakfast and it's noon already, so we decide to eat lunch. Maybe Timeline 1 show never heard the phone ringing? Yeah, I'd like to think that way, because Taiga's not interacted with Shiro at all since the split. So if my idea is right that this all branches from Shiro, this phone call shouldn't happen unless he was so, he was spending so much time with Saber and Rin, he never heard the call. And he doesn't have an answering machine? I mean, I guess we don't have proof of them having an answering machine. Maybe there just is no answering machine. And when Rin and Taiga calls once and he doesn't hear the first time, he never bothers answering. I guess that's a bit of a silly explanation, but I'll allow it. We decide to eat lunch. Saber can't turn into a spirit like Archer, and I'm not sending your magical energy like all the other masters are doing. Oh, and are you going to do anything about that? It doesn't need to be said that this is because I'm an unskilled master. They did have the whole temporary amnesia thing, and maybe just waked up later. Oh, he could have waked up later. That's true. If he was passed out for longer, which would make a lot of sense because he was much closer to death, then maybe he slept through the theoretical phone call. That's very fair. Hell, maybe even Rin answered the phone and said, sorry, Shiro's not feeling well. No, she can't do that because then Taiga knows that Rin's there and she didn't act like she knew later on. So they just probably never answered the phone. I could see that. So it can make sense. All right, I'll allow it. Doesn't need to be said that this is because I'm an unskilled master. It seems she can sleep to stop consuming magical energy, but doing so doesn't replenish it. So food will be your only source of energy. I'm in charge of cooking, so I can't be lazy about it. Sure. We're going to stop pretty soon. For now, let me just remember to turn the voices back on. There is a little bit to go, because the place where I stopped, if memory serves, was that we went to the club, we had some archery talk with Ayako and stuff, we went home, we went to sleep, and then I made a save point. That's right. As we went home, I realized Shiro was thinking about other things that felt like, wait, this is a different through line. So I made a save point and checked that it was and then it became a UBW timeline save point instead of a fake timeline save point, which is why I went back. So yeah. Recap arc finish on Monday sounds about right, probably. I can go for about 20 more minutes max. I don't even know if I want to go for that long, but servants take physical form using magical energy, right?
それじゃあセイバーの魔力は回復しないんだから戦っていけばいくほど弱っていくのか
Then, since you can't restore magical energy, you'll get weaker every time you fight? I ask her after cleaning up our meal.
全く回復しないというわけではありません。
Oh, right, the tap analogy. Oh, yeah. It does not mean I cannot restore any magical energy.
魔力というものは活動しているうちは絶え間なく生成されるものです。自然からの供給がないサーバントでも自身の魔術回路だけで少なからず魔力を補充することができます。
Magical energy is constantly created within oneself. A servant... Oh, right, this is a bad analogy if memory serves. Magical energy is constantly created within oneself. A servant without any outside source can create magical energy using its own magic circuit. Out any outside source using its own magic circuit.
なんだなら問題はないんじゃないのか
I see, and there's no problem, right?
さて、どう説明したものか。そうですね。そこの水道を例えにしましょう。
Time for the bad analogy. How shall I explain this? Let me use this faucet as an example.
今蛇口から水滴がこぼれていますね。それが私自身の魔力生成量だと思ってください。
Water is dripping
その水滴を受け止めているグラスが私自身です。
out of the faucet right now, correct? Please consider that as my magical energy being created. Okay, water's coming out of the faucet, that's your magical energy, and the cup receiving the drop is me. The cup receiving the drop is you, your magical energy is being created, so your magical energy, that means the faucet is your magical crest you're getting the magical energy from. But that's not where she even goes with it, right?
今の状態なら少しずつではありますが、水は私に溜まっていきます。
In this state, I can accumulate magical energy slowly.
さて、このこぼれている水ですが、これはグラスが重ければ重いほど蛇口の線が開かれていくのです。
Well, there will be more dripping water the more water the cup holds. Okay.
私はグラスに水が入っている限り、蛇口から水を出し続けます。けれど、グラスの水がなくなったとき、つまりグラスに溜まった魔力を使い切ったとき、
As long as the cup
蛇
holds
口が
some
完全
water,
に閉まってしまう。
the faucet will create more. But when the water runs out, when I use up my magical energy, the faucet shuts off. So what you're saying is when the cup is full, the faucet shuts off. That's a very weird analogy though, because if it's you and that's giving you magical energy, and the faucet shuts off when the cup is full, what about when you use that magical energy? The cup becomes emptier again, the faucet keeps going. Right? What?
そうなれば水の供給はなくなり、グラスはずっと乾いたままでしょう。
And then how does it become empty again? There will be no supply of magical energy and the cup will be forever empty. See, this is a bad analogy. What? What? No, Rennie. The faucet shuts off when it's empty. What? Wait, so it's only going when it's not empty? How does that make any fucking sense? It's still a bad analogy. I don't get it. I use the faucet. Water is dripping, right? Consider the cup receiving the drop is me. Uh-huh. There'll be more dripping water the more water the cup holds. So if the cup doesn't hold anything, there's no faucet water. That means there's no faucet water in the first place. Because the cup wasn't even pooping. If the cup had no water, because if the faucet has to put some water in the cup in the first place for the cup to have water for the faucet to keep going. So if the cup starts with nothing, the faucet will never give you anything. But Saber clearly has some magical energy, so this analogy is stupid.
それがサーバントにとっての消滅です。
That means elimination for the servant.
肉体を維持できぬほどの傷を負うか、自身を保つほどの魔力を維持できなくなる。
Either to receive a fatal wound or to lose enough magical energy.
そうあり得ることではありませんが。
Well, the later rarely occurs, but it's going to occur with me. The magic cup starts half full when summoned. Then what's the issue? She's already getting some drip water. I guess the idea is that she can't gain it back as fast. But they seem to imply in the timeline 1 that we needed dragon sex for there to be a connection. Otherwise, she was just not going to get it back at all. And they seem to imply you have a limited amount. When that amount runs out in timeline 1, you're out. Until the connection happened, and then it could keep going back up. That seemed to be the implication there. And if that's the implication, this faucet analogy doesn't fucking work. The later rarely occurs.
けど、グラスに一滴でも水が残っていればいいんだろう。少しでもグラスに魔力、重さがあれば、蛇口の線は開いてるんだから、時間が経てばまたグラスに水は溜ま
But
る。
all you need is at least a drop of water in the cup, right? If there's a bit of water left in the cup, the faucet will create more water and fill the cup up.
そうですね。ですが、このグラスに溜まった水は常に失われていくのです。
Yes, but the water in the cup is constantly consumed. Okay, sure.
水はこうしている間にも使われていますし、戦闘となればその消費量はさらに勢いを増す。
Alright, I guess that's fair. Okay, the analogy is not the greatest, but it's better than I remembered. It is lost without me doing anything, and it'll be lost at a faster pace during battles. Okay. So what we need... Okay, then what's the analogy for the dragon sex that lets the... It just lets us turn the faucet up more?
逆に言えば、強力な行動ほど水を多く消費するのです。私の宝具を使用するのならば、
But it's simply more
グ
powerful
ラスに
action
水
requires
が
more
満ち
water.
ていようと、一瞬で空になる危険もある。
If I'm to use my normal phantasm, I can empty out the whole cup even if it may be full. This is getting complicated now. To sum it up, as I, her faucet, am not giving her magical energy, she can only restore magical energy at a slow pace. The rate being just that of dripping water. So are we going to solve this issue? Instead of beating around the bush like we did forever in Timeline 1? Therefore, she should end battle as quickly as she can and sleep right after that to stop consuming any unnecessary magical energy.
それじゃあ宝具を使うなんてのはとんでもない贅沢ってことか。
So the noble phantasm is a luxury we can't afford, huh?
そうですね。ですが使えないということはありません。
Correct, but it does not mean I cannot use it.
威力を抑えれば一度ぐらいは可能でしょう。
I should be able to use it once if I reduce the power put into it. The only way is available to Shiro without Rin is eating innocent people. I mean, was Rin really necessary for that? Does Saber not understand? I guess Saber just doesn't. I mean, I feel like Saber would understand to some extent the procedure, right? She knows she has to be connected to Shiro, right? I don't know. Maybe she doesn't understand the specifics. I feel like she should though, because if she's supposed to, I don't know. Maybe she shouldn't. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't. I don't know. I don't know what she knows.
何言ってんだ。そんなことさせられるか。セイバー、宝具を使うのは禁止だぞ。そんなんで死なれたりしたら、どう謝っていいかわからない。
What are you saying? I can't let you do that. You're not allowed to use your noble phantasm, okay? I don't know how I'll apologize to you if it causes you to die. I mean, do we just go this whole timeline of Shiro just being a far more careful? He's smarter but also weaker because Saber never unlocks her full power? I don't think so. But at the same time, like, they can't make the unlocking of her full power as epic of a moment as it was in the other timeline, so I don't know. I placed the T in front of Saber. How do we ever beat the final boss battle without full power Saber? I mean, you don't necessarily have to ramp up the power of the bosses. One way they could do it is because they needed full power Saber to even contest with Gilgamesh. Maybe in Timeline 2, the final boss isn't as strong, and with just a weakened Saber, it's more of a climactic battle, even if the two fighting people are weaker. There's nothing wrong with that. In the dragon scene, Rin needed to synthesize the two when they were having soul sex. Sure, I was just wondering if Saber knew enough about magic to know about synthesizing them, given that they are connected anyways? Or should be? I guess she doesn't. I guess she doesn't. It's fine she doesn't. I just thought that, oh, master and servant, she would know that, right? I don't know. She would know the ways that she could connect to her master, I would think, but I guess she doesn't. She frowns and reaches for the tea. Yeah, because Saber is also, a little bit of a death seeker, but only in the sense that she wants to fulfill her wish to kill herself. But she'll still be willing to kill herself to protect Shiro, because she is too selfish, or selfless, rather, which we need to get her over. Shiro seems already over it, but we need to get her over it again. Then, okay, the phone call. The phone rings.
日曜日、この時間にうちにかかってくる。
Phone call at this time on a Sunday? Ring, 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 hello, telephone. Moshi moshi? I have all too good an idea who it may be, but I'm scared by the consequences of ignoring the call.
はい、もしもし、エミヤですけど。
Emiya Deskedol? Oh, wait, okay, hold on. I gotta look it up. Deskedol? I've never heard someone use Deskedol after, like Moshi moshi, I know that. But like Deskedol? I gotta check out Deskedol. I know Des. Deskedol. What is that? What does that mean when someone says that? B. I know what Des is. Kedo. However? No, it can't be Kedo in this, right? Moshi moshi Deskedol? Moshi moshi. Moshi moshi Deskedol? Am I crazy? Let me go Nihongo Ego. Nihongo Ego. Moshi moshi Deskedo. Just hello? What does that mean? What does the kedo mean? What's the purpose of the kedo? What's the purpose of the kedo? Hello. However, is he leading in anything? Why does he say kedo? I don't understand. I hate it when I understand some, and then there's another part added on, and I'm like, what does that mean? Hello, this is Emiya. See, she was normal. She just said Fujimura des. Don't, make me think weird things with Deskedo. Gosh. Hello, this is Fujimura. My voice is going a little bit. My throat is parched. I ran out of water. With this phone call, yeah, this is fine. I could get to the end of the scene and get to where Shiro and Saber are walking to school. I think I might as well leave that anyways, because I'm never going to get through the whole this, Shiro and Saber walking to school, Shiro being in the Archer Club, and then when Shiro gets home, that's when I stopped. I'm not going to be able to get to that in the next, like, not even 10 minutes at this point. So I think I am going to stop here. Why not? My throat's a little parched. What does Deskedo mean? I think you stopped at the end of the day. That sounds about right, but... Okay, so what does Deskedo mean? So, for now, this has been the Fates Day Night. What? And that's because you saw the next day had UBW in the day change screen. That sounds correct. So, for now, this has been Let's Play Fates Tonight, Blind of the Blind Variety. I already said that. Blade works. We are getting to the part where it's actually blind. We connected from the part that I went back to the part that I came from, but this time it's UBW, which means our stat screens are all reset, which I did not expect. I expect to keep all my stat shit, because, you know, I keep all my knowledge from Timeline 1, or Shiro does to an extent, you know, subconsciously some of it, or at least his personality shift, I don't know. Anyways, we'll continue next time, Monday. I don't stream on weekends. We'll continue this on Monday. So, I will see you then. Do I continue on Monday, actually? Depending on is there like a holiday at some point coming soon? We might continue on Monday. If not, we continue on Tuesday. But I think we're continuing on Monday. If we don't continue on Monday, I'll let you know in advance. Anyways, on like my Twitter and Discord and stuff. Should be continuing on Monday. I will stop for now. See you. Wait, why am I saying this on the YouTube video? I'm not. Yes, I am. YouTube video. You don't care about this. Goodbye.